Well, hi everybody. Thank you so much for your patience. It's an amazing day today, and it's my privilege and honor to be talking to some of the most amazing Bangaloreans. The panelists are amazing. The topic is amazing. We're talking about technology. We're talking about AI in today's world. AI is not the future. AI is the present. We all understand that how technology has evolved, erupted, and is in every single person's responsibility to understand the pros and cons of how you can make the best use of the technology. At the same time, be aware of what technology can cause the possible damages to the young adults, to parents, to teachers. And we all, as a society, as a community, are here to talk about our responsibilities going forward, what would be our strengths, our weaknesses, and how we can make the future generation ready with AI as a technology. I'm Kumel Kirmani, and thank you so much to Yazera Trust for organizing this episode 6, season 6 of the Billion Star podcast, which talks about AI in education and institutions. And it's my privilege to be introducing you to the panel. Before that, let me give you some very quick insights. Insights that actually mean a lot to what AI has to offer in the next 3 to 4 years. The statistics says that 65% of today's school children will work in jobs that do not exist till date. This is the report from the World Economic Forum. AI is expected to contribute to over $15 trillion to the global economy by 2030. And we're talking about 2030 is just around the corner. It's about 5 years or less than 4 years from now. Yet, over 40% of educators say they feel unprepared to teach AI in the AI driven world. And that is a challenge that we will try and decode as we proceed in our conversation today. India per se has over 260 million students, the largest student population in the world. But less than 25% of the institutions have a formal AI or future skills roadmap. And moving ahead, it's about by 2030, 1 billion people will need reskilling. But institutions, not just technology, but institutions on the whole are currently the biggest bottleneck. And how do we solve this? Let's try and decode this as well. AI can grade exams, write essays, diagnose learning gaps, but it cannot build character and courage. And here we have eminent panelists, and let me do the honors of introducing them to each one of you. I'll start with you, ma'am. It's my privilege and honor to welcome you, a distinguished educationist and an institutional leader known for her marvelous persona, quiet brilliance, and powerful purpose, a strong, respected, and supremely eloquent architect of educational excellence, a builder of institutions, a steward of growth with heart, a guardian of academic values, our esteemed season 6 panelist, Mrs. Sakina Qasim Zaidi.
Pleasure, Kumel, and I'm really honored to be part of this podcast and looking forward to have a interactive and a discussion.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure, to have you, ma'am. Thank you so much for giving your time on a Sunday morning. I know it means a lot, and I'm not done yet. The profile is impressive, and let me do the honors of talking more about you, and I will definitely ask you more questions in detail. Yeah, just to continue with this, a towering presence in India's K-12 education ecosystem, Mrs. Sakina Qasim Zaidi stands as a rare synthesis of academic scholarship, institutional leadership, and a strategic mastery. With over 2 decades of distinguished service, her journey from academia to the leadership of some of the country's most complex and high performing school system reflects not ambition alone, but purpose refined by rigor, discipline, and unshakable commitment to educational integrity. She has served as principal across 5 major institutions in India and abroad, including 3 ORCIDs, the international school campuses, a CBSE affiliated senior secondary school under the National Paramilitary Organization, and International Vocational Institute in Africa. Each institution entrusted to her stood at a decisive inflection point, and under her guidance, each moved decisively towards stability, performance, and ethical coherence. Currently serving as the zonal business head at K-12 Techno Services, she leads seven key branches of Orchids, the international school in Bengaluru, stewarding 8,000 plus students and 500 plus professionals with full accountability across academics, governance, compliance, admissions, marketing, infrastructure, P&L leadership. Her leadership demonstrates a rare equilibrium scale without delusion, growth without compromise. Beyond operations, her intellectual and pedagogical depth has equally is equally formidable. Trained through national leaderships programs for CBSE principals, advanced AICT sponsored quality improvement initiatives, and strategic leadership education from IIM Kozhikode. She has actively shaped academic discourse as a national seminar convener, leadership trainer, and faculty mentor. Her work on emotional intelligence, leadership dynamics, and institutional decision making has guided educators far beyond her immediate classrooms. A published scholar, too, contributor to India's academic canon, her research spans human resource practices, leadership transformation, global HR challenges, outsourcing economies and organizational behavior, with papers featured in reputed national journals and international conferences. She is also the co-author of a book, Human Resource Management, a work that continues to inform management education across institutions, marking her not only as a practitioner but as a thought contributor to the discipline itself. Her excellence has been formally acknowledged at the highest levels through letters of appreciation from the Assam Rifles Public School Management Committee and from the Honorable HRD Minister herself, Mrs. Smriti Irani. Recognized her for exceptional board results, transformative leadership, and institutional impact. Such recognition stands not as decoration but as validation of service rendered with integrity and result delivered with grace. Ma'am, it's such an honor to have you here with us. Thank you so much for taking time out and being part of the Billion Star podcast.
Yeah, pleasure being here. I think you've covered it all.
No, not at all. I mean, I still have a few, but I'll leave that for you to share it with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you so much again, once again, ma'am. And it's again my privilege and honor to welcome our panelist number two for the esteemed season six, the Billion Star podcast, Mr. Shams Hassan Rizvi.
Thank you.
How are you doing, sir?
Doing really well this morning.
Fantastic. Let me have the honor to also read out his profile, exceptional profile, and I'm so excited to even read this out because I can't memorize their achievements. These are beyond the normalcy, and it's going to be an amazing. Let me do the honor, sir. Our esteemed season six panelist, Mr. Shams Hassan Rizvi, is the founder and CEO of KnowYourCompany.ai and a US patent holding technologist, a modern architect of intelligent systems where speed is balanced with rigor and innovation guided by accountability. Distinguished by marvelous persona, quiet authority, and disciplined brilliance, an architect of trustworthy AI, a builder of enduring systems, a voice of clarity in the era of AI and AGI, Mr. Rizvi represents a rare convergence of innovation, intellect, and intent. With over 7 years of experience spanning software engineering, product leadership, and entrepreneurship, he has built AI systems that do not merely accelerate outcomes but strengthen judgment, ensuring intelligence remains transparent, verifiable, and humanly aligned. As a founder and CEO of KnowYourCompany.ai, he has created an AI native platform designed to operate an institutional standards processing 500 plus regulatory filings daily. Wow. While preserving source transparency, audit ready citations, and analytical integrity. His work addresses a defining challenge of modern AI: how to achieve speed without sacrificing trust, and scale without losing accountability. Previously, as a product lead at Concentric.ai, Mr. Rizvi played a pivotal role in scaling the organization from 10 member startup to a 150-person global company, driving revenue growth from under $50,000 to over 4 million ARR. He also founded and led the user behavior analytical division, which became a major growth engine, delivering 3x customer growth in 2024. Earlier in his career, he served as a software engineer at Barclays, contributing to core banking systems and open API integrations across global institutions, with his professional foundation further shaped through a highly selective IBM APAC internship, refining his global systems perspective. What truly distinguishes Mr. Rizvi is not innovation alone, but intention. Awarded a US patent in 2023 for innovation in data analytics and user behavior tracking. He is a firm advocate of the principle that AI must augment human intelligence, not replace it. His work today focuses on ethical AI, verifiable systems, platform that democratize access to institutional grade intelligence, ensuring progress remains inclusive, responsible, and human centered. Wow, Mr. Shams Razvi, it's so amazing to have read your profile, and we have more to talk. Welcome again at the Billion Star Podcast.
Thank you so much, Kumail, for the kind words, and I'm honored to be here with the three panelists.
Likewise, likewise, and we're going to welcome our third distinguished guest today. Allow me, ma'am, to read out your profile, and I'm sure it's going to be as exciting as the day is going to be for all of us today. It is an honor and privilege to present a deeply respected award winning educationist, psychologist, and educational leader whose leadership blends intellect with empathy, discipline with compassion, and excellence with service. Our esteemed season 6 guest, Mrs. Preeti Manish Suda. A radiant and deeply respected presence defined by compassion, clarity, and great brilliance, Mrs. Preeti Manisuta stands as a rare exemplar of human centered leadership in education. With over 3 decades of devoted service, she has shaped generations not merely to succeed but to reflect and rise as human, resilient individuals. Her marvelous persona, inner strength, and powerful compassion illuminate learning spaces where minds are sharpened and hearts are safeguarded. In a world of accelerated change, she reminds us that education must not only prepare futures but protect humanity itself. Currently serving as the vice principal at the Delhi Public School, Bangalore East, she brings to leadership a formidable academic foundation, a master's in psychology, plus a diploma in community mental health from NIMHANS, and certification in psychological first aid from Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. As a CBSE master trainer and committee member for the CBSE Socio Emotional Learning Module Development team, she has played a pivotal role in shaping teacher capacity and embedding emotional well being at the heart of modern schooling. An award winning leader, national recognition, she is the proud recipient of the Karnataka Vidya Ratan Award 2025 and has been recognized as the best vice principal at the Karnataka Education Awards 2022, 2024, and 2025. She has also been inducted into the Bharatiya Book of Records for her distinguished contribution to education, honors that reflect not ceremony alone, but sustained impact, credibility, and trust earned over decades of service and recognized beyond the school walls. Guided by the noble ethos of service before self, her leadership transcends institutions and enters the realm of social conscience. This found profound expression in the DPS Give Sight campaign undertaken in the partnership with the Rotary Club Indranagar and the Global Eye Foundation, where she inspired 110 students to raise approximately 37,000 US dollars, enabling 2,500 cataract surgeries for underprivileged communities in remote regions of Karnataka. For her, education is not confined to classrooms, It is a moral call to uplift, restore, and serve. She has also spearheaded transformative institutional initiatives, including leading DPS Bangalore East to be accredited as an eco school by the Center of Environment Education, supported by the Ministry of Environment and Forests, Government of India, earning the prestigious Green Flag for 10 consecutive years as part of the core team, received a Guinness World Record for the Brush Right Smile Bright campaign. And as a driving force behind the school's TEDx youth platform, she consistently inspires young minds to think globally, act responsibly. A lifelong learner and reflective soul, she writes regularly for education magazines such as Mentor, is an avid reader and brings a uniquely holistic dimension as an oracle and tarot reader, deepening her understanding of human psychology, intuition, and growth. Ma'am, such a privilege to have you. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation. And it is an honor to be discussing today's topic about how AI can reshape institutions. How are you
Thank you
feeling
so
today?
much for having me here, and I'm absolutely delighted to be a part of this panel.
Yes,
And we have tall leaders here in their different areas. It'd be definitely an insightful conversation. And
I'm
I look
sure it
forward.
is. Yes, I'm sure it's going to be meaningful and insightful for all those viewers who have joined in on live on our YouTube channel. Request you to also share this link with your family, friends, and relatives. Put that on your WhatsApp status and let people know that this is an initiative for each one of us, part of the society, part of the global growth, where AI can actually make or break lives, break careers, transform people. And this is not just our responsibility but your responsibility as well, to share this across your network and let people know what's happening in today's world. With this, I would also invite you to put in your questions in the comment section so that we are also involving you, your presence, your thoughts into this discussion, so that your questions have not been left out, and we will value your presence and your participation as well. So thank you so much once again, and let's begin, ma'am. To we start with you as well.
Sure.
So, your profile is so vast. You've got this experience, and I'm sure the generation that we have seen from the era of print, I'm sure, when I was a kid watching, black and white television convert into a color television was itself a technologically great feeling. And you have spent your life coaching, mentoring, teaching children from the entire era. And today we're talking about Gen Alpha, the Gen Zs. What does it take for an education institute to be ready for the future of our children?
Yeah, thank you for that very interesting question and allows me to really reflect on my journey as an educator. I think we have evolved really a lot over time,
Hmm.
how students learn, how teachers teach, and how educational institutions are running and equipping themselves to keep pace with all the changes that have come across in the scenario. And we've had an internet revolution many years back, and
Yes.
we have adapted to that. And now we have this AI revolution that is there. And I'm sure that we are each very, very capable of adapting to that, and educational institutions are also rising to that requirement. To meet that requirement, I think the things that the educational institutions can really do is equip their teachers with the know-how of technology.
Okay.
That is very, very important. And also at the same time, ensure that students also are getting opportunities to upskill themselves along with the teachers. In fact, it's so interesting, things that happened during COVID, that there were students who were hand holding teachers to learn
Wow.
technology, right? And I think the same is also happening now, because we are dealing now with students who are digital natives, I would say, and they pick up these technologies much faster than teachers. The younger teachers definitely do pick up much faster, and things are evolving, and students are learning a lot. Now, the teachers need to also keep pace. Educational institutions also need to keep pace because we need to ensure that the students are using technology in the right manner. So, definitely, upskilling is very important. And apart from that, also connecting with the industry is very important because finally, we are producing, as you said, 65% of the population will really, we don't know what kind of jobs they're going to do. So
Yeah.
they have to be very adaptable. And it's for us to be adaptable now in this scenario. And for that, we, especially at DPS Bangalore East, we have connected with IBM, we have connects with the Intel. In fact, CBSC connected with Intel, partnered with Intel in 2019.
Wow.
And later on during COVID, we equipped our entire, I would say all stakeholders. I would not include the parents here, but all teachers, all students, all admin staff to be AI ready by taking up a basic AI course, which was there through the Intel platform. And we were certified to be an AI ready school, one of the first AI ready schools in 2022 in southern part of India.
Wow.
And that was quite a proud moment. And I remember we even helped or our, the bus helpers, the drivers, even though they were not at that time engaged in the school, but they were available to be trained, including gardeners on the campus, admin staff, everyone. And the good part was you could equip them in their own language also. So they could be trained in their own language through that platform. And therefore, we had 100% AI enablement as a first step.
Wow. Wow.
And apart from that, we make sure the children are participating in various competitions, various boot camps that are held by organizations like Intel, like 1M1B, which we've in the recent past partnered with. And students have come up with very, very innovative ideas after the boot camps and during the boot camps. And they have gone on to, being nine of them chosen to represent India at a summit in Geneva,
Wow.
which was by 1M1B. And I think they excelled at that. They came up with projects around agriculture and AI. They came up with projects like astrophysics and AI. One of the students came up with a lovely project which was to do with asteroids and their distance from the Earth and how, are we really in danger? How can we mitigate that danger? So that was her study. There was another student, a group that studied about the soil and the water holding capacity or the kind of, diseases that are there in a particular crop and what kind of medication can be given, all this through AI. So it was quite interesting to see them scale up from something that is there in the textbooks
Wow.
and, go beyond and try and use it for something that is more connected to real life. And at the same time, keeping the ethos of, the school, the philosophy of the school of service before self, I thought that really makes a lot of sense to encourage them to serve the society through this knowledge because it's only a handful of students that we can train and equip. At the same time, we also ensure that we are equipping our teachers because we train them again with the help of Intel to, try and map AIoT to the curricula
Okay.
and they made lesson plans using that.
Mm-hmm.
And then those lesson plans were again presented at an AI summit in Delhi, and that was their showcase. And I think they are also further equipping their team members and colleagues. So it's like, we need to keep hand holding, keep growing. That is what educational institutions, I feel, in today really need to do. But at the same time, we need to make sure that, we have the guardrails there as to how much of technology do we uh, try and incorporate into the system.
So what happens when you mention that students take that extra edge to go beyond textbooks and learn? Is that also used at the kindergarten level also? But are you also talking only with students or at a higher standards.
Yes, these use cases that I've discussed, they are mostly to do with students of the middle at senior school.
Okay.
And definitely kindergarten, we introduced robotics in kindergarten. And we have been doing that for the past, I think, all of our inception. We were back in 2009, we started. I think we started the program maybe after 2 years, and it has been running beautifully. And we see students taking to it beautifully, even as early as in kindergarten.
Amazing,
Right.
amazing. This is great. This is something that I think DP has set a benchmark. Coming to you, ma'am. Adding on to the question, how has your relationship with AI, as somebody who's managing so many schools, under your belt?
I mean, talking at the institutional level, I try to focus more on that part. Since we run one of the largest chain of school right now, we have almost around 75,000 students enrolled in 135 branches of orchids. And the central team needs to ensure that, the academic delivery that happens in the classroom, there is a quality standards that are maintained. So they need a data. They need to get the inputs from the branches, directly, and then analyze those data, and then draw it, conclusion on what is working well in the schools, what needs to be improved upon. So, I mean, here I think at K-12 Techno Services, we have, I mean, I would say they have cracked this because to manage such a large chain of schools sitting in a corporate office in Bangalore is just not possible. To give you a few examples of how we are enabling this and how we are doing it, uh, the first thing that we introduced was, as ma'am also mentioned about, is ensuring that the teachers are enabled, the teachers are upgraded, they're upskilled on the technology integration. We started that process. Then we did not only leave it to just the delivering of quality classroom transactions. We also started just to give you an example, that we started giving mics to the teachers and the admin staff, and they were supposed to wear it throughout the day. So when whatever happens in the classroom, the conversation between a child and the students gets recorded. Plus, we have a CCTV cameras, and the central office have the access of that cameras. So there is a lot of data that gets collected,
Wow.
and then we try. There is a team of people, and there is an AI generated report that the office receives, that what is working in the classrooms, and which subject or which teacher is able to deliver, how well are the students engaged, what kind of activity, because 135 school, a lot of things happen.
Yeah.
Even though our lesson plans are centrally written and given to the teachers, but still the delivery is something that we
Right.
need to ensure that it is actually happening. We don't restrict ourselves to lesson plan content that is given to the teacher. We want them to go beyond that, and that is something that we are keeping a track of it. So a lot of data gets accumulated, and that AI helps in analyzing that data, and ensuring that the good practices are promoted across all schools. And then also we have started AI-based corrections.
Wow.
We have given,
Interesting.
given the schools, a scanner, and then of course we require a little bit of manual help in terms of somebody flipping over the pages, and then there is a correction which is done by using AI. And also talking about integration in the STEM curriculum,
Mhm.
we started with robotics, coding, financial literacy, horticulture, and astronomy as one of the subjects in schools. I feel that Orchids offers one of the most progressive curriculum. We have pottery, we have textile also, and beautiful labs which have been set up.
Oh.
The environment, the classroom learning environment should be conducive in order to promote these kinds of learning. So, what we started doing was in STEMs, basically for the STEM subjects,
Mhm.
especially for the students who are writing codes, like for coding subject. So, there are certain software that Mr. Shams would be aware of,
Correct.
like OnShape,
Correct.
Fusion 360, where children, once they get the response, they go back to those software and they
Correct.
try to get the professional response and match and see whether how far,
They're getting it.
closer they are to those, they how well they have designed that coding for that
It is
program.
I would like love to be in
Yes.
school right now because in
Yeah, it
our
feels
time
so.
we used to have this thing called Fruity Loops,
Yeah.
Yes.
right? You would do
Oh,
some logical reasoning, and then if nothing's working, you go ask a friend, go ask a teacher. But since over here they can automatically
Yes.
get these things, I think it really accelerates your learning,
Learning process.
right.
right? As long as you can get feedback coming
They
in,
get
the
instant
person,
feedback
correct.
Feedback.
that
Yeah.
motivates them,
So
right?
it's a
Motivate.
good time to be in school, I guess.
I'd also like to pitch in that we are also trying to analyze through AI
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
performance of the students. We are doing it as a pilot for
Right.
grade 12, where we are looking at the STEM subjects as of now, and just so that we can enable them to perform better, and we can figure out where, the teachers can also pitch in more to ensure that their performance scales up. So that is one thing, and corrections also through that is something that we are looking at.
So it's just a question I
Yeah,
had
go
on
ahead.
that was that the AI that is being accepted in our day and age industry, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, are more digitally native. They somehow intrinsically understand these things because they've not seen a prior world, right?
Yeah.
So when we are designing curriculums, are you also taking student feedback? Is there a way that student also can come to the table and then say, like as I say, right, like they're more well equipped, they might be using it for some purpose, and then like do the two teams come together,
Yes.
little
Yes.
input from them.
In fact, we always believe, and we started with the writing of the textbooks and the
Mm.
curriculum. The best feedback came from the students,
Really?
what they found interesting in the classroom learning process. So we took a lot of feedback, how engaging the classroom should be. So teaching should not be,
Mm.
even if a teacher is just delivering content,
Yeah.
I mean, she cannot be a educator. There is something that more she needs to deliver. She needs to make the classroom engaging, not only engaging, mentoring students, keeping a track of their performances, and using AI tools probably would make the learning environment much better for the future generation. Because most of the students, when we don't need textbooks, everything is there. They Google, they get
Hmm.
the entire lesson.
True.
So we have to design a lesson plan in such a way that it is, they get hands-on experience in the classroom environment itself. Unless that happens, no child would love to come to school. I mean, I remember my son. I'm just going to make
Yeah.
it more personal. When my son was in grade 9, and we had the CBSE, teaching style.
Yeah.
The textbook was considered to be the Bible.
Right.
He At times he told me, "Mama, I can read that at home. Why I have to go to school?"
School.
Wow.
So the children, I mean, these days they want something more inside
Yeah.
the classroom. The classroom experience has to, improve. There is a lot of innovation that needs to be done in the classroom. So we provide our children with kits for maths, science, languages. So, there is a day fixed in Orchids, Wednesday we keep it for no bags day. So there's no teaching happens. It's only experiential learning that takes place throughout the day. So we try to do that. And those labs, the astronomy labs, we have, I mean, a lot of we have telescopes being fixed. So we have starry night,
Yeah.
organized at the school. And at times we take them for outside, stargazing. So, I mean, they get that kind of experience. They have a lot of
Yeah.
curiosity
Correct.
amongst them that
Yeah.
needs to be addressed.
And I
Absolutely.
think
Yeah.
there I'd like to also pitch in that, this generation, in fact, whenever parents come in for admissions, we tell them that it's not as if it's only academics. What do we look at today? We look at a holistic child. We look at a child who's able to think smart on their feet.
Mhm.
And how will that happen? That will only happen when we're giving them the exposure beyond the textbooks. And they are able to, in fact, the flipped classroom happens quite often. That is another way of, engaging the
Modest
students
flip.
creative. They
Mhm.
need to be able to judge what they try to do the group activities, the going beyond the text activities in the classroom.
Mhm.
And the students can look at the curriculum and the text, as ma'am said, her grade 9th student, her son is feeling bored, maybe, So basically, if they do that reading bit at home, wherein they can absorb the basic knowledge, application can happen in the school under the guidance of the teacher. That is one thing that we do very, very actively. Another thing is that we also offer something like the hobby clubs, wherein, of course, all these things are built into the curriculum, right from hands on things like arts and crafts and pottery and, ballet and all of that, theater. And apart from that, yes, astronomy, robotics, and we do take them out for sky gazing, and we have that aspect also in school. So all these things, if we don't have those things to keep the kids engaged, it's going to be a very dull and drab curriculum. So we're very, very conscious of that, that we bring the best that, the education landscape has to offer. It should definitely be experienced by our students, even if we take it up as a pilot initially
Hmm.
and then see how to scale it up for the entire school. But that is something that, we're extremely, extremely passionate about doing.
It's very interesting, no, Shams bhai. This is coming to you. I mean, we have experienced school in a very different way. For us, it was all about uniforms, textbooks, homework, play some sport maybe, and some PT period. That's how our schooling has gone through, right? And when you, as a technologist, as an entrepreneur, see art, the education that you and I have received versus the education that is currently being delivered at the most prestigious institution I'm talking about. When you look at India as a whole, there is a huge gap between what's happening at the bottom of the pyramid versus what happens on top of the pyramid, right? So we are now talking about what happens on the top of the pyramid. But you tell me, from your point of view and your experience, how has technology evolved from a person who has just graduated out of school versus choosing a career path?
Got it. Got it. I think it's a good question because it also impacts year on year. It's not something which I've experienced over the last 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, over the last year, how we thought about in our entrepreneurial journey, also how the table stakes that we thought we had to get, now they are there only. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're expected. So similarly, for me in education, the way I see it, people adopting it or going further is either at the top of the pyramid or at the bottom of the pyramid is taste. Because what do I mean by that is, let's say when some of the good professors that I have known, right?
Yeah.
They were very good educators, but it's how they did it. It's like I still remember my calculus teacher in 11th. He would explain something. His name was SRM. He's like Chamka. He'll say some things which will self question you. Ki, okay, are you actually getting it or not getting it?
Okay.
Right. So as both ma'ams deliberated, I know that students are very fast nowadays. They can learn, but it's like what taste do they get? How do they actually correlate with it? Right. Like some of my favorite chapters like physics, maths are just because of my professors actually. Right. And chemistry was generally always a little bit, you have to know about bit about it. And again, I'm not saying like many people are into chemistry also. So for me, the way I see it, either you're working, either you're trying to upscale, or even as a child, right? If you're trying to do, it's like if you find that taste in the other individual who is able to communicate it to you,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can use AI to keep doing your things. If you have the feedback loop, you can keep improving, but at least that direction, that motivation can only come with the taste. Either it's be a specific professor, a group of friends in that kind of a environment. So I believe as people will go more into schools, like the kids will also demand a lot, right? And then as I said, right, like creativity is the pinnacle. If you can think and get all the context together, what can you not create essentially? So for me, I just believe people need to develop taste. People do not need to be like very much like in our time. I'll tell you one difference that I feel is a lot of logical thinking we have to memorize or understand. Now these things are available at your fingertips. Now what is the differentiator? I might have spent 5 6 years just learning this. Now it is available at a fingertip. So for me, it's how am I able to put it together and provide value. So for me, these are my 2 cents on how I see education. Changing, or why would students go to what to learn.
This question, the reason that I asked you is for a particular reason,
Mm-hmm.
especially at the institution level. What is the responsibility at the institution level is to prepare the generation for the future, make them independent, make them employable, make them entrepreneurs. Probably set their career. This is the foundation, right? What you do, and what you do is different. You are probably the person who is taking students into your company, and this is the raw material, and the finished product is what comes into a company like yours and company like how people hire. The question is about what should be those parameters that you have seen probably, and the idea here is that 5 6 years since COVID, AI is everywhere. I mean, until COVID, nobody knew what AI was. Though AI, of course, has about 50 years of existence in terms of how it came into existence. But you tell me, from your learning style in school, colleges, you mentioned about your experience with professors. Has that impacted what you're doing right now?
A little bit, a little bit. As I said, right, like just 2 3 years ago, you can say textbook of theoretical knowledge, you were still very very much needed. because if there's a critical task, critical requirement, you are the person to go to, right? But let's say even when the people we interact with today, even if we want somebody at a freelance or at a full-time opportunity, the two things that we look for is self-agency and problem solving now. Because see, if you have enough self-agency, feedback loops we can provide to you. So what do I mean by self-agencies? Let's say we give you a task. Okay, let's
Okay,
say you
let's say
have
you
to
have to
create this
create this
product or
product
get
or
this
get this
customer
customer
feedback,
feedback,
right?
right?
Mhm.
It's how
It's
you
how
go
you go
about
about
designing that
designing
thing. You
that
will
thing. You
face
will
a
face a
hurdle.
hurdle.
Okay, this
Okay, this
hurdle. Okay,
hurdle, okay,
how do I
how
go
do
to
I
the
go to
next
the
hurdle?
next hurdle?
The third hurdle, and then you can always come back to us or the relevant person who will give you the critical feedback as to how to move ahead. So what do I mean by self-agency is that anybody who is trying to take the next step forward by themselves, if they fail a difficulty, they're not stuck at that difficulty. They'll at least go approach someone. Okay, tell me this, so that they can move to the next step. Because I believe you have self agency and good problem solving skills that we do judge. I think at least in our company or any other company, there will be a very good fit because there will be such a generalist, right? So I believe it's an age of generalists where if you can put a lot of context together, you can provide a lot of value. And specialists will also still be there, but they will be at a very, very high, as I said, at top of the pyramid, those kind of use cases only. But as it trickles down, a lot of generalists will start to, grab this opportunity at the age of AI, like many people did with internet back 20 years ago, and then make a career or provide value to society.
Interesting. So,
There's one more thing that we have recently started is using AI is about the health records of the students. So since the child spends almost 10 to 12 years with us, so we have started collecting the data of their height, weight, and BMI. It gets calculated automatically. So and we started putting that into the system and regularly monitoring. Like if a 13-year-old boy should have these statistics or these parameters to be considered as a healthy child. So we have started monitoring that, and then in case we find that a number of children who are falling below the average, so we have that data, we consult the dietitian, we get in touch with the parents, so monitoring the health record of the child till the time he is with us. So that is also one way we are integrating. Another way what we found was probably he is also doing in is part of the software development of AI, gamification is something which children learn. So they want the introduction of games in the modules in the curriculum. So that is something that children want. They want the curriculum to be more interesting. So like the robotics curriculum or the coding curriculum that we have for grade 1, it is scratch programming is something that they do, and they go on, as he said, that moving from one level to the other, and it helps in developing the problem solving skills, which is the most important skill that children should have in the future, and the analytical skill, how to approach a problem. I mean, if the data and the inputs are fed correctly, you will get the right kind of output or the result. So we have to train children on what to focus, how to solve a problem. A problem understood, well, is half already solved. So AI will definitely help in the data that is available to us everywhere. AI will definitely help in the decision making, making it much easier and faster for us. But at the same time, that human, the ethics that matters a lot in terms of deciding thing, that human factor also cannot be ignored in certain cases when it comes to education. I mean, especially in the education industry, we cannot have all the data and the results coming from machine learning or AI. So that is where I think AI may have their limitation. Challenge. Yeah. So
we are talking about and the viewers out there. I have this, crazy addiction to my mobile phone.
Right.
Yeah, even if I have to, like, for example, even if I have to prepare something with my creative thinking, I have the habit of asking Chat GPT about, hey, what do I do for this? I have this episode. For example, I have this episode today. Can you prepare notes for me? Can you prepare some questions for me? So
Right.
what am I doing? I'm outsourcing my natural intelligence, my creative thinking to a machine. A machine is thinking on my behalf, and it is also causing a lot of anxiety that, okay, fine, one is that I understand the importance of my natural intelligence, but students who are as young as 13, 14, they are just buds who are willing to blossom out. uh, is there a challenge that you see in overuse of technology?
Could I take?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
So
it's
yes,
for all three of you.
yeah. So I think that what you mentioned is really cognitive offloading, right? What is really happening is we are just kind of keying in a question. Like yesterday, I was at a workshop and I had a much younger teacher, I would say, who was so enthusiastic. And he was only in his 30s, early 30s, and he's totally into tech. Okay, and I am also, I love tech, which I realized in the COVID time that I absolutely enjoyed the communication bit with the children because I think it gives them an instant feedback, gives them a dopamine rush. And why are kids into gaming and why are we introducing games into really the curriculum and the teaching and learning process is because it really inspires them, motivates them to stay glued to the content, and they keep getting the feedback. So that is the good aspect of it. And the only thing is that this cognitive offloading that happens, we should be having some kind of a check on it. As to, whatever we are getting as an output, is it really authentic? I think Finland as a country is training their students and kids as small as 3 years to figure out fake information.
Wow.
Right? That is something that I learned thanks to this, connect that we were to make. When I was reading that as young as kindergarten, they are training them to check on the information that is coming across so that they don't believe, all the deep fakes that are happening. The very recent one with Sudha Murthy that happened, I think it was quite a shocker. But it's the reality that people are being fleeced, people are being. So that is the other side of AI. There are children who are much beyond us, right, in the tech space, and they are into maybe the dark web and all of that, and we need to look at that aspect too, that we need to have the policies in place, we need to have the checks in place. And the other thing is, of course, just like sir has mentioned here, Shams just mentioned that, there's something like the teacher says chamak, right? So there is a motivating factor for the student to learn. And similarly, I think AI therefore cannot really replace that compassionate aspect of a teacher, or bringing in the values when you have a human connect. That is where I think AI is going to really take time to evolve.
So, is it the responsibility, of the parents here,
Yeah.
or parents outsource that responsibility to the schools and
Yes.
teachers?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of is dependent on the school because parents nowadays we feel both of them are working. They feel that
Yes.
everything would be taken care at the school level. So we definitely feel it is a prime responsibility to educate child on the how technology needs to be integrated
Yeah.
in their
Mm-hmm.
life.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it is for learning purpose or for maybe socializing or maybe for future professional professional task or the career that they want to choose.
Mm-hmm.
I personally feel that like in orchids what we have started doing is since we have a very large base of students and children, we've analyzed that they normally fall in categories of we specify we categorize them into three, like exceeding expectation, meeting expectation, or need support. So we have taken help of AI in terms of generating the kind of worksheets which is required for
Wow.
each level of the students in the same classroom. So there is a differential learning techniques that happens, but through a worksheet which is personalized, and caters to your personal needs in terms of understanding the concept. So earlier we used to always feel as an institution that if we have a very strong
Yeah.
content or a curriculum,
Hmm.
we have achieved the pinnacle of education, pinnacle of the students' learning. But it's not like that. I mean, what children are actually learning in the classroom is very important. That personalized worksheets have definitely helped children to improve their scores or give them enough practice to bring their performances at the level of the classroom in case if they are lagging behind. So that is one other integration that we have recently, I mean, last 2 years we started using that. And AI has played an important role in terms of generating those worksheets.
And this is happening in just about 3 to 4 years,
Yes,
right?
it's very recent.
What was it before? How
But
was
the teacher
the
used to
education system
teacher
before?
used to
Yes.
say
make the worksheets, the teachers need to make everything. So what happens is here you can generate a lesson plan at the click of a button. You can generate a worksheet based on that content at the click of a button. At the same time, as ma'am is saying, the differentiated worksheets, depending on the levels that they have, can be absolutely, in an output in a moment is easy for the teacher. The good thing is the teacher has a lot more time than on hand to really curriculum or the content is getting across to the children as they may require. In fact, I think even for special needs children, the AI would be very, very beneficial because you can have text to audio output, right? For a child who is visually challenged. We have a child like that who's visually challenged. And we're using some of this technology to help, assist the teachers to be able to make sure that she's better engaged. She absorbs the information better and she has equal opportunities. So AI is actually, I think, a platform that kind of brings everybody on the same level. It's a leveler of sorts, I would say, if used properly. So that is something, and I think assistive devices are there that use AI, and those are very, very useful in helping students feel at par with those who don't have the disabilities, the normal students, right?
Interesting.
Also, we started using AI in terms of identifying training need. The training need
Very
analysis
interesting.
has also helped us,
Elaborate that, please.
Yeah, so like I told you about the teachers using mic
Mic,
and the
yeah.
CCTV camera. So the huge amount of data gets collected. So every teacher in a period of 2 weeks would get a chance to use a mic, and her class observation is monitored very closely, and the dialogue that happens. Of course, we use AI to give that result. And then based on that result, we identify that this particular teacher needs more training in student engagement, maybe more training in the content delivery, or she needs to focus more on preparing herself well.
Right.
So that has really helped in identifying the training needs, not only of the teaching staff, but also of the admin staff. The admin staff also on rotation they are asked to do. The admission counselors, the front desk, the frontliners, so who are handling children. So they also, even throughout the day when they talk, we get a lot of data. We get a lot of information, how they are handling, how they are, doing their duties. And then those data we analyze and then we identify the training needs. I think this is something which Orchids is doing, no other. I have not heard about
I'm
an education
wondering,
setup that, using that amount of
yeah,
data.
that one is interesting, definitely.
I'm sure because of the
But
scale.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
Because you've got about yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to touch was on the cognitive offloading. I think Kumail touched on it earlier.
Yes, this is very important.
Correct,
Just to
correct.
put that across for our audience, the terminology
Correct.
is very important. If you can also dissect that and help our audience to
Sure.
probably
So,
understand better.
one thing, so how do I see cognitive offloading over here is that if there's anything that you need to, it's a particular skill that you're not really familiar with, but I'll give you my personal example, right? I think that will help. I'm a product developer by nature, so for the last 7-8 years, I've done that up down. But I've started sales and marketing in the last year or so only. So initially, I did that chat GPT thing, I did some automation. But for me, the actual results came when I actually did the 0 to 1 and then used AI. Right? Because see, what happens in cognitive offloading is you don't know what is working, what is not working actually. It might just work for you in that time. And the other thing is that reward experience, you don't get it. Like if you've worked really hard on something, gone through the grind, once you've actually achieved it, you also get a self confidence. I've done this before. So for me, cognitive offloading eliminates these two things, and we see this in today's students also sometimes when they're graduating, right? Especially coding in the last 2-3 years is completely automated for a very high degree. 95-98% of enterprise coding is also automated. I'll tell you that, right? Most of my product, I can tell you, guarantee 98% is AI written. Yeah, but as founders, we review a lot, we test a lot, we do a lot of feedback things. It's because we know exactly what we are trying to build. So for us, when we interview candidates also, we are asking them to, solve a problem. Use AI. It's okay. We are using AI. You also have the used AI. It's just like, where do they get stuck? It's the main thing comes back to that problem solving only. If you cognitive offload a lot of these things, your problem solving will not improve because you've not spent that grind. So you have to keep spending that grind. Either with AI, you spend that grind so that you learn, get your 0 to 1 earlier. So for me, that is very important. That even if you do a lot of cognitive offline, especially to students in college, I would really recommend that you do learn your fundamentals also, because somewhere down the line you will need them. You might get a job, but then how will you execute at that job, right? So for me, this is what I mean by that particular term, and how is it affecting.
It's interesting, Shams bhai, that when we talk about cognitive offloading, in the corporate world we talk about upskilling, learning, unlearning as well, right? So there are certain things that you need to let go of so that you can learn new things. In the corporate world, the concept where we were growing up, we had computers that came in, and then we had internet, and then we had now in all the corporate world that we talk about, before COVID, it was all about knowing how to use an Excel sheet, knowing PowerPoint, and understanding how you can use your management lessons up there. And today, everything, even if you have to launch a marketing campaign, or even if you have to write an essay, or even if you have to write a poetry, AI does it in matter of seconds, right? I can even ask AI to probably prepare a poetry in the style of, Ghalib, and then AI will do that instantly, right? Now, how do we, I mean, as teachers, as institutional leaders, how do we check on plagiarism? How do we check on things which are not original? And how do we retain and control the fact that students do not let go of their cognitive skills and creativity and outsource each and everything?
Monitoring is definitely
Who
required.
has to monitor?
The teachers have to monitor. So also the system you create for the child. Certain tools can be created for the purpose, I believe. I'm sure Shams can validate that. But I feel that we should not give students who are absolutely very young and in the age of learning the basics total access to AI. Like we've heard advertisements where they say, Alexa, the child is doing their homework and they're getting the answer, and it's happening. But so they need the monitoring. Definitely we should have some kind of check on the amount of exposure to devices, right? Certain countries, they have said that the students will not be allowed to use devices up till a certain age. I would agree with them as an educator, because I feel that we need to have them do something hands on. Certain things are learned only with practice. And if we are totally making everything online, where is the child using the hands? The moment you stop using the hands, let me tell you, as a psychologist, your brain is going to go in all directions, right? It is the head, the heart, and the hand that needs to be actually used together for anything to be internalized. And when I say even the heart, it's the emotions also that matter for a child to be able to learn. And I think the gamification, what it's doing is giving that dopamine rush, wherein they're getting that feel good factor. So of course they'll get addicted to it. We as adults are addicted to social media, to tech, and at the click of a button, if we can have a difficult task sorted for us, we save time. It's very very encouraging for us to go in that direction. So I don't think we can blame children, but definitely there need to be policies at a school level. There need to be policies which should be clearly explained to the parents. The parents also need to be mindful, as ma'am said, that these days, when the parents are sending their children to school, they think that they've done it all and now the school is responsible. So I think a lot of working together, realizing that it's a huge change that is coming in, and we need to work together to deal with it and make it more effective and valuable for our children. And that is what my take would be on that.
So, like as I said, yeah, I said earlier also, like facts and information can be found at the click of a button. Process definitely will require AI. Like we need to give children the experiential learning environment. So like use of VRs that we have started, in the classroom. Children have to have a better, environment, or the classroom setup needs to be more engaging. I mean, that is where I feel the schools will be able to bring the differentiation between what used to happen, years back, and now how education has changed over a period of time. And I mean, there is a lot where AI can help us in terms of developing those kind of technology, like what plagiarism in case. We need to have tools to, put the content of the essay of the child, and just, click of a button should get and tell the child it's not written by you. Where is your creativity? And we need to have those checkpoints. Yeah, there are tools, there are AI tools where we can just, feed the, then the children will be discouraged and they'll be forced to use their creativity of, in terms of writing and solving a problem. Of course, it should, AI or technology should enhance the learning process, but at the same time, it cannot replace, replace what you think. You know, he would probably know it better as an engineer.
Just a use case I want to give
Huh.
is on the public markets only, the kind of customers we work with. As you said, right now, information and like anything correlation you want to find is available at a fingertip, right? Provided you feed enough documents, do all of those things. So what happened in capital or financial markets is they have these team of analysts who are studying a company. If there's an IPO happening, how is the finances, how is the management and everything. But then there's always a fund manager you will know. You'll know Rakesh Junjunwala, you'll know Warren Buffett, or you will know these people. Why? Because they have this, they're intrinsically, they have so much context, as ma'am was telling earlier, right? They've seen so much of the world, they are able to correlate at a pace nobody else can. It is their essential edge, right? So what we are doing or helping financial institutions today here is they're already heavily using AI to get these like earnings document, annual report, investor presentation. The earnings season is going on, right? So every company is releasing results. Now they release a result in the morning, there's an earnings call in the night. By then, positions clear off, right? It's a very time based thing also. Abhi now so many people are competing, they get the information at a glance. It is how one is able to synthesize it to an actionable output, which is a differentiator, right? This is where if you have only done cognitive offloading, that decision making will never come in play, because you will be relying on some pattern, right? Like there has to be some pattern, and markets, for a lack of better word, have no pattern. No, like nobody knows what's going to happen. So it's all intuition only, and then intuition will let you know how wrong you were, how right you were, but you still need to know why you were wrong primarily, so that in the future you know, okay, this correct. This permutation and combination happened before, doesn't mean it'll yield the same result. So it is just statistics that you need to keep working on, and that is where I feel like how, even though there is AI, you're getting information at a fingertip, how easily you're able to synthesize it into an actionable output. So for me, that is the next step, and I believe some curriculums regarding that would really help, because our customers are also asking.
This is where the collaboration really works. Like
Correct.
ma'am mentioned that there is a collaboration with Intel. There's a industry interaction. Even with respect to gardeners and bus drivers, where the training happens,
Correct.
they are also aware of how to use. Like for example, in Swiggy and Zomato, these guys are trained for at least about 2 weeks just to understand how to press a button to accept
Correct.
order and not to accept order. What do you do when things go wrong and stuff? Like 2 weeks is a huge time for a company to invest to train somebody who has not gone beyond that ABCD 1 2 3
Correct.
education part. And everything is in English language, and now we are not talking about different native languages. AI is coming in, and how we can also reach to the regional and the grassroots level of communicating with problem solving at at the most basic level. So this is again coming back to you, Shansbai. You manage crores of rupees, billions of dollars. You are into the financial, business, high stakes at risk. So speed is one part of it, but accuracy also matters. You get my point? Not everything that Google tells you or AI gives you, like ma'am said, that you cannot really accept the fact that boss ye sahi hai. You need to use your own yeah, and that is possible only when you are knowledgeable, only when you understand that bhai, okay, I understand something about this, let me probably use this. So what are the challenges that you're facing on your day-to-day stuff? Tell us a little more in detail about what you do and how do you manage this.
So I'll give you one use case which will I think highlight this in
Mm-hmm.
most detail. So with any financial firm, they have two creatively they decide how the company is doing. First, and especially all their stock discovery or any idea discovery is done financially only. Okay, we are looking for a particular earnings in a particular sector, of a particular, let's asset turnover and these things. Once they've quantitatively identified these things, they'll qualitatively assess. Because again, there are 5,000 companies in India. Globally, there are 100,000 or more, right? They cannot be investing or going in deep everywhere. So they use a little screening, pick a set of companies, and then qualitatively assess it. Now, when both these things, quantitative and qualitative, they can be earnings per share numbers, they can be dividend yields. These are 21.8 and 27.8 is a very, very big difference. And a typical OCR reader might do 7 to 1. So what we do in our particular platform, we call this trust through transparency. That is any claim. If any claim I'm making as a student, as a platform, I'm giving you, okay, the management decided there'll be 20% growth. Where is this 20% coming from? There'll be a click over there. Right at that particular line, you can click it. It will open that document, highlight that line for you. So this is what we say. AI can be wrong, but the cognitive offloading you cannot still ship to us tomorrow if our clients. So basically, it's our clients who are AMCs or portfolio managing services who have this corpus of thousands, 2,000s of crores that they're managing. Right? They're answerable to their clients. Right? If anything happens to their clients, they can't say they're using my software for any ABC. Obviously, they'll stop using my software, but for any ABC purposes. So I feel as vendors, it's our responsibility. If I'm giving you an AI-based service, if any answer I'm giving you which will help you take a position in the market or run any workflow, I'll also give you an ability to verify quickly. ऐसा नहीं है, because sometimes what these analysts today do is, okay, they've got a good summary about a company, what the growth and the government regulation is looking like, but then just to verify every fact, they're opening that page, Control F, where is that mentioned? Because they still have to verify. At the end, the fund manager, the Rakesh Jhunjhunwalas of the world don't care what is. They care who is this. Shams. I depend on Shams to provide me a lead on this cement sector, this chemical sector, this agriculture sector. So for me, this is it. If Shams is wrong, Shams is gone. It's as easy as that. So Shams can use all the power that they have. So in a way, we enable this customer that you have trust through transparency. Every claim is right there, auditable to you, so that you can continue working. Yes, even sometimes we say we are 99% correct, but there is a chance we might be wrong. As I told you, 21.27.8 is from yesterday's demo call only where we found out such an issue, right? So this is where I believe it's our responsibility. As I said, speed is very much important. Accuracy, we have to show you the door. At least we have to let you know this is how we are ensuring accuracy, but the end result is still up to the student in this case or an investor in this case.
So similarly, we use the CRM, which is basically AI integrated with machine learning. So we have huge data. I mean, we have almost close to 200 coming from Meta and from Google, and how to synthesize those number of leads and data and make them workable in our system is something which we rely a lot. So with 35 135 schools, and each school getting thousands of leads in a day, and ensuring that what would work for us and which affiliate source is the best suited for this particular zone or that particular school, is it really help us. So we analyze the data, of course, as like what he said, we analyze it, but at the same time the human intervention is required to draw the correct decision and to rely on human logic and reasoning is something that AI will not be able to
And
replace.
sometimes I think that
Yeah.
intuition says it all.
Yes.
It's difficult sometimes to replace that.
Absolutely, and children nowadays. I mean, only for the helping the audience understand that we all know has been put that into a bracket of 15 to 18 years. Okay, and we're all probably millennials and Gen X, and we also got students who are Gen Zs, and then Gen Alpha, and then Beta, or whatever is going to come in, and they've already come probably. Now the social media wave of influencer led communication, the content where where young students, they हमारे ज़माने में probably we would look at Sachin Tendulkar to be an idol, and it's like, wow, if you want to be Sachin Tendulkar, we had very limited influencers whom we could be influenced by. And today, the K-pop culture with the kids, understanding how technology, understanding sports, understanding different varieties of genre that people the students are exposed to, is the influence also affecting the learning spree of the student in the education system. Yes, because heard from people at who have achieved a level, and they claim that the colleges are going to be no longer be relevant in the coming years.
Mhm.
Nobody's going to 20, 30 lakhs doing their MBA. People are not going to go to school to learn textbook based studies. So these are the influencers who have millions of followers and they have a name in the market. And when they claim certain things, the young minds are not being able to. They challenge. They say that education, sometimes they feel that education is waste of time, waste of money. I can do this on my phone. I don't need to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So so this challenge is something that brings that perplexity. I mean, it confuses a relationship between a parent and a child. You and I are privileged. We understand both sides of the story, but somebody who is not being able to understand, some parent who is not educated enough, some parent who is not technologically well versed, for that parent, a child is like, मैं पढ़ रहा हूँ, and for all you know, that kid is doing something else, right? So here is a challenge that you as educationist can put across your point of view, saying that will the education system still be relevant?
Yes, I would like to add here, if we have teachers and tutors who just believe in content delivery, it's not going to
It's not just textbook delivery.
textbook delivery. So, I mean, what children would be looking at is somebody who can mentor them, who can be an emotional support to them during, like, if they are preparing for, the competitive exams, they would need a coach who can help them manage the stress, manage the burnout during the process of preparation for the competitive exam. So they're looking for a mentor as well as a person who is able to track the performance and is able to analyze the performance at the individual level, and also give them guidance. Like, if I am somebody who is overconfident about my preparation, I need somebody to, maybe the AI is giving me good scores, but at the same
Right.
time I may require a
A reality
personalized
check, maybe.
reality check by somebody, a mentor who can give me that confidence. And also, I feel, at some point of time, discipline and accountability is something which AI cannot check. If I was supposed to take a test today using, my worksheet, and AI would generate a result, if I don't do it, AI will not going to remind me. But if I have a mentor or a teacher or a personal guide, probably that person would push me to do that. So the discipline and accountability is something which will require a human touch, or which would require, children to be guided on. So I feel, AI tool is one aspect. We need the mentorship, given by, personalized mentorship required for students. And the third aspect is the for the students is the performance tracking. So, I mean, whether they are improving. So, if we integrate all three of them, probably it could be a better combo in terms of delivery of content.
How about you, ma'am? Do you think you go with this philosophy?
Well, I feel that yes, schools that don't scale up to the changes will definitely find it difficult in the future. It is required, but then we must look larger population. I coming from a beautiful institution, but at the same time, we need to look at it as a holistic picture in the future. That really can everybody attain that? That is something. Then the other thing is that can we really give the child total access to using AI tools to evolve, learn, make their learning more meaningful to them, more personalized to them, I would say. And definitely it does make it more personalized, but at the same time I feel that we need to ensure that there is some check, like how can that reality check happen. So I was checking, and there is something, of course, the Khan Academy everybody is aware of, and they have Amigo is, I believe, a friend. So they have something called Khan Amigo there, that they are, kind of looking at. That tries to help the child not go into an autopilot mode, but it tries to do a co-pilot mode. Whereas if a child is trying to, give them a prompt of a particular homework, it is not just cooking that homework up for the child and maybe, an essay or a poem that the child has to write, but rather prompting the child to think. So we have to train AI to, be like an interface. So that, of course, still I would agree with ma'am that we, cannot replace the motivation and, keeping a check on the children, but it can kind of bring learning to be more meaningful, and it will definitely encourage them to learn from their mistakes as they go along, even using AI. So we have to definitely have a more I would say enabled AI system, especially I would say designed for schools, designed for curriculum, that can take this forward. If we really want it, it has to go forward. There's no way that we turn back. But how successfully can we move forward? I think we need to keep these things in mind.
Do parents, come in and, like for example, you said, not example, but you actually said that parents, the minute the child is enrolled in the school, then the entire responsibility comes in on the school to ensure that the child is not just performing on their academics, it's an overall, development of the child. Here we also have to talk about the character, the social responsibility, the moral values, which during our times was very very crystal clear. We had discipline. We had high regards to our teacher. We could not answer back, and we were scared. The style of teaching at that time was mostly disciplined, and today, children are not scared. Yeah, parents are finding it very difficult to monitor this behavior, and sometimes they blame the institution for being too lenient. Yeah, the circle around it, and probably I'm sure you will have all these situations coming in on a day-to-day basis. So for the viewers who are watching us, as parents, what is it that schools should do, or what is it the parents should do, or collaborating together, what should you do to uphold the future character, the social responsibility, the moral values, which is probably diminishing as we are seeing. I mean, you know it better because you are dealing with the generation. So where do you see a challenge, and how do you solve this?
A very marshaled kind of a institution where we could resort to even corporal punishments at times, but it was happening before I took over the branch, but then later on we I mean, this was in 2008. Yeah. So, I mean, but then of course I took over and we discontinued. So there are still, schools where we still believe in a very traditional way of disciplining children. But the current generation, we cannot. This generation is altogether very different. We need to be friends with them. We need to give them the reasoning why a certain act of theirs and how it is going to influence the others. How their actions are going to influence their future or their learning or the respect that they have for the parents. So I think we need to sit, like, the counseling is something which is very important for this generation. I mean, if you tell them just not to do this, they will never listen. We need to spend time with children. We need to make them understand and give them the reasoning why certain things are accepted, certain things cannot be allowed in the school, and give them time to analyze those things. I mean, from tomorrow you won't do this. Tomorrow you have to follow, cut your hair and come. Children will not do that. They never fall in line. I'm sure you will also finding it
Yeah, we
difficult.
also find the same challenges, and we don't take it, really to heart if there's
Huh.
a child who's going out and maybe sometimes disobeying you, right? You need to understand them also. Things are very different for this generation. They have a lot of information available, and that's why there is somewhere this lack of respect. I think it also comes from a little bit from the parents, the way we were brought up. If a teacher says something, then about you, and if there's something that's not right, that means always you are in the wrong, right? Here, parents, maybe they need to curtail the way they communicate about the school, about the teachers in general, to their students and to their children. At the same time, discipline issues which are there, they continue. It's not that they were not existent earlier, it's just that I think children have a lot more exposure today. So since that exposure is there, they are moving a lot more towards the Western culture. They may ape it, they may want to be looking cool, and you just have to have a conversation with them. That's what I feel. One heart to heart conversation, and definitely you see a change in the behavior of the child. It may not happen overnight, it may take some time, but they will be very courteous, very polite when you have. That's what we are concerned about. How do they talk to an individual? How do they talk to a person who is senior? How do they talk to an outside person who's communicate? That is what really matters. If that is right, and if somewhere within themselves the right and wrong is okay, we can overlook certain things, right? Because if you look at the rishis, if you look at sages, right? They had long hair, didn't they? Right? Right? Weren't they intelligent? They were intelligent. But the whole thing is that when we come into a school environment, we want, as ma'am said, we want discipline. We want certain rules and regulations to be followed. We want them to fall in line because they need to get used to a certain way of performing, certain rigor in life, which is essential and which will lead them to success in any field later. So those are the things that are definitely there.
I think reasoning works a lot. You sit
Yes.
with children and you talk to them, make them understand, every act of theirs, how it's going to impact the other person or going to impact them in long run. Maybe they don't realize it at this point of time. Destination is that something which we will like children, to get over it. So reasoning is something which we have to do with the future, the current
In
generation.
fact, we have a very robust group of counselors. We have about
Counselors.
16 of them for our school itself, and it works
Yeah.
beautifully. In fact, I am from the psychology background, so is our principal, Dr. Manila Karwal. We are constantly, day in and day out, we are hand holding, counseling, because they do come around children. It's not that, they don't. It's just that they are seeing a different world from what we saw. So we need to keep that in mind.
and the and the environment from which they come also
Yes.
makes a lot of
Huge difference.
huge difference in the way they interact with their fellows or with the peer or with the elders at school or teachers. So we need to also understand when we talk to the children, we get to know and understand a lot what's going on in the mind. And not judging them is one thing which we should always keep in mind. Whatever they speak, we should be receptive, we should be able to understand what's going on in their mind, and then give them a clarity on how they should focus on themselves and build a future for themselves, ignoring other environmental factors.
Yes, and I think this is
Yeah.
like you mentioned earlier, right? Why will anybody want to go to school or college when it's at a glance or at a fingertip? I believe to learn these skills only, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Because even when we are sitting here today, when anybody is organizing, it's how well you can work together with people, which is far more important, at least in my opinion, rather than just working on yours, like getting something done. So I believe those are the reasons why school is important. And if any parent, right, let's say they are not very technological friendly, they're not sure what their kid is doing with AI or for this thing, they can imagine it as analogous to electricity. Like this is one of the YC, Andrew Karpathy is one of the visionary leaders out of the US. He says, in the age of AI, if you have to realize, okay, how is it going to impact our lives, how we see it going forward? It's like before electricity, you had an entire system around candles. There'll be some recycling thing. There'll be another candle. An entire infrastructure and team was there, who was just handling that. Right now, that is gone. Like AI say now, information and all of these things are just available to you on your mobile. It's how you're able to internalize it. So even as parents, I could think is if my kid is using AI, right, I can ask them questions. Okay, what did you learn? Did you get something done? Okay, how is it helping you? So you can ask very simple first principles questions itself, and I feel from there you will know what that kid is doing AI for. Are it's just jokes? Is it just gaming for that matter, right?
Making life easy for
Just
them.
making life easier, right? So I believe if you ask those questions, it's like the same thing. Like, what are you using electricity for? अगर light नहीं जली है, पढ़ाई नहीं हो रही है. It's as simple as that, right? अगर AI use हो रहा है, show me ना. What more thing have you generated a new report? So those things the parents can also use as an analogous, right? Prior to electricity, before electricity, with AI, without AI. So those are some of the pillars that one can use, in my
Amazing.
opinion.
So it is also so very important that every child. I mean, I didn't like maths, but I was forced to learn math. I was forced to learn calculus. But today a child will say, "I'm not interested," because each child is now uh, is different. It's special, and they have the right to say yes or no. I mean, do you have those challenges in designing curriculum, which is standard for all students of a particular class, or you also have ways to customize, with every individual kept in mind?
For every individual, it will be very difficult. We need to have a standardized, lesson plans. The one who is transacting the lesson plan in the classroom, the teachers, they play an important role. That they adopt the differential learning techniques within the same, group of 30 students. She needs to be not only experienced but also needs to be guided on how, after reaching the average of the class, how she will cater to the students who are high performers or the ones who are lagging behind in the class. So that's where the mentorship or the role of the teacher becomes very prominent and important. Otherwise, we cannot have too many lesson plans. It's just not possible. Except for the children with special needs, we design an individualized lesson plans for them. Catering to their capability and what they can learn in.
But
Hmm.
do children have the option of not sitting in the class when they don't want to study something?
Right now we haven't. We did once in orchids. We did. If we don't
Share some examples.
we in orchids is one. It's one institution we have tried and we've done a lot. We
Okay.
tried doing, but but I think it failed because most of the principals did not internalize that concept of allowing children to choose a subject. Like suppose if he doesn't want to sit in a maths class, he can go in the ground and play. This in fact that came from the central office. Please allow it. Allow the child. Don't force the child to sit. As it is, he's not learning anything in the classroom. But then when the implementation came, see, since still we had a lot of traditional people in this system, we could not implement it.
But I'm sure it's tough for you to manage about 50 kids who walk out of class because they don't seem to enjoy the class.
So,
So I think as CBSE offers many, many options.
no, the idea, ma'am,
to
was
the subject, for the subjects, like they can drop a math, they
no,
can
that
take a
is there.
geospatial technology, they can take mass media studies, they can take legal studies. In fact, we offer 21 different options to children and various combinations. In fact, we are offering them across humanities, commerce, and sciences. So they could take psychology with science, they could take psychology with even e-commerce.
Our idea
Right.
for doing this was the teacher herself would realize if my
Maybe,
class is
yes.
interesting, I will be able to retain all 30 children or 35 children in my class. So I need to make the class more engaging. The idea behind was that, just giving them a lesson plan and teaching resources and monitoring them on CCTV camera was still not enough. What we felt, let the children decide. So of course, then the teacher will put in a lot of efforts to make it more interesting. So that was the logic and the reasoning we had, but we could not implement it. I would like to implement it in one of my schools, maybe next academic year. But the teachers and the principals were, I won't say, they still felt that it's not possible.
But I think it's a human connect. That's my thought that, like teachers are also evolving. And the kind of challenges the teachers face today are so very different from the ones they faced so many years back. We were, I think, good students, right? At the, at one instruction, we must have done whatever we were asked to. But here, children are very different, and we need to give a little space to the teacher to breathe. Something that I really feel. They are humans, and the more heart-to-heart connect you have with your teachers and team, I feel that they scale up, they learn, they evolve. In fact, they are growing, and they're growing and building their own profiles, and they're building own, I would say, to do better. And as a teacher, when you walk out of class, you know exactly what you've done. You know it in your heart that, oh, I did it beautifully today. The kids knew it all. You were able to connect with the children, you were able to keep them engaged, and finally, all this content is lost after a few years. The child turns back and only looks at the connect they made with the teacher, right? All of that, how much do we remember of a trigonometry that we may have learned, or a calculus we may have learned? It's finally the teacher and that heart to heart connect. So I don't think AI can replace us in any way over the years,
Yes,
right?
yes, I understand this because we just celebrated our 25 Silver Jubilee reunion of school, and when we saw our teachers, and some of them could recollect the names after 25 years.
Right.
Yeah, and that was wow. Like you would have seen 100 students, and the entire school probably would have seen about And it was so surprising that they could remember the names and faces at least, and figure out that you were the first bencher, last bencher, or whatever it is. And that connect probably happens only because the way the teachers made us feel and the way students probably interacted with them, and that remains. That is something that you rightly said AI cannot ever be able to replicate. Here is a question to you, ma'am, as a vice principal, as somebody who manages. Of course, this is also going to be for you as well. uh, which is the most difficult thing to manage? Student, teacher, the parent?
I think each one has different challenges. We have to have in the evolving world of today, because parents have their own challenges. We can't be judgmental towards parents, we can't be judgmental towards students, and at the same time, even our own team sometimes, right? Because when we see the system has evolved, and we see many, we are in the Silicon Valley, we have families moving cities because they want to come and work here, right? They want to grow in their careers. But finally, who comes with them? It could just be a nuclear family that's staying together. Imagine the kind of challenges they may be going through in taking care of bringing up that one child or two children, right? They're not able to look after. I have known children who've had nobody at home. They are at home and the parents are doing amazingly well in their careers, and they're traveling, and this child has the key of the house, and they have a cook coming in, they have a pet for a company. And one day I found a child running towards a classroom early morning. He was late. Why? Because nobody woke him up. He had an exam that day. He took an auto and he came. Things like that. So where do you say? Like, I don't think that we should really blame anybody. It's not a blame game, right? We need to figure out exactly what's happening, and that's why there's a lot more energy, a lot more involvement, in making sure the whole community stays together, grows together. Takes a lot of effort.
What's your take on this?
Yeah, I feel it's, I mean, equally difficult and challenging to manage all stakeholders for the parents. But communication is something that, really helps us. Building a very strong communication with the parent community is very important. To give you an example, like, any change that we bring in the education system, like we introduced a clicker. We gave children a clicker, and then we were supposed to mark attendance using a clicker.
A student would do it?
Yes, and then no proxies. They have to physically be present, and plus those clickers also we were using it for exit test. So a lot of parents came back. So I mean, we told the principals that you should have an open forum, let the parents come and tell discuss this point, how this implementation is going to happen. So it's not just about introducing one more technology in the classroom learning process, but it does have its effect long term. So reducing the task of the teacher, like the exit test for every lesson plan, you can have an exit test, and you can map it, and you can check the students' performance, and whether if the child was engaged well, or the child is understanding the concept. So it gives a lot of insight to us. So a lot of parents came back. So we have to build a strong parent community, and that only happens when we communicate well, whether it is students, or whether it is parents, or whether the teachers. Even with the teachers also, I mean, if you bring in any change, the first thing would be the resistance to the change, whether it is a working hours or extended time, after school activity, a new subject introduced, or anything like that. So communication is something that I feel eases out a lot of problems, and it brings a strong interpersonal relationship in the system.
Technology also.
which AI can which AI can't do.
Yeah, and technology has really enabled us further, because, like, especially in COVID, everything went online. So now at the drop of a hat, you can have a meeting with a parent. There's a parent, sometimes they don't have time, sometimes they don't want to come. They have various reasons why they don't want to come, but we want to connect with them for the sake of the child. We can do it online, a quick meeting with them, wherever they may be. That really is good. And you can reach out to the entire parent community
Yeah,
together
yeah,
through the
together.
Zoom meetings and all of that. It really helps.
Do you have parents coming and teaching in your school?
Yeah, we call them. We have TED Talks, and we have parents who are professionals. We call them, to interact with children and
They can
guide them.
talks, I think,
Ah.
by parents who are doing very well in their various fields. So they can come and give their first-hand experiences, so that children can also look at, evolving careers, because that is again a big challenge these days, right? I don't think just one person is equipped to guide them totally. There are so many venues. right? So it's good to bring those stakeholders in, which we do. And parents come in as shadow teachers for some of our children who are um, physically challenged, or they're having some, learning challenge. So those kind of students we do allow in the primary segment parents to shadow them, just so that they feel safe, secure. And sometimes when it becomes overwhelming for them, the stimulation, the child may react in a way that requires a little, mellowing down or calming down. So the parent is able to provide that help.
Great, interesting. Sounds like
No, I think even for me, right, like we probably not this experience, but as she mentioned earlier, communication. Because things are moving rapidly. And now I think about it, I think they've always been moving rapidly, but it's just like you have to adapt very much faster to it. As I said, right, because see, when I started on, even I can just give an example, entrepreneurial generally also. The notebook LLM, the perplexities of the world were not like 2025 early, they were not like big names. They were big names in probably US, but not here. But then perplexity through Airtel made it free, right? So all of these technologies came at a Gantt. ChatGPT is free, right? So for them, this $15-20, which these people are thinking is free spend, will get activated from April this year. So then again a reset will happen. Am I okay giving $15 as a kid also, right? So for me, as I said, like communication within the audience, communication to the stakeholders also, what technologies are available, what you can do more. When we started on our journey, we thought this was not done, but then somebody else did it. So we have to go a notch further. What is the value differentiator for us, right? So especially I believe school is a very sensitive thing also. There are a lot of emotions involved more than anything. This is still very rational in a way, like this logical. So I would say communication definitely helps here. I think it is bound to help here.
amazing.
Yeah.
So do you think it's a bubble, AI as such? Because people are,
I'm glad.
they've got
Yeah, yeah.
versions of it. Where one report at MIT says that 92 or 93% of the companies who have invested multi-million dollars, reduced staff forces, laid off people. एक जगह से people are losing jobs. Companies are trying to implement AI, reducing staff forces, automating stuff. But the MIT report says that 94-95%, you correct me if I'm right on those stats, that they've not been able to recover even a dollar worth the investment that they have made. 2025 I'm talking about. And they call it as a bubble. It's just something that people have just adapted. I'm not too sure how it's going to lead a path to success. What's your take on it?
So for me, the way I see it is like if you take a definition of an actual bubble,
Mhm.
is there, right? Bubble is what to be true but is not true. The markets over the time will let you know that okay, this is not happening. So what is happening with that particular statement? People are making AI investments, not seeing a single dollar in revenue. So from a very high level sense, I see it as maybe it's a is it might be an execution problem or a customer identification problem. Because see, if you have to internalize how AI, you said earlier, 15 trillion or maybe I don't know, like $2 trillion lete hain, right? Let's say, because Nitin Kamath also said it in an earlier podcast. He went to US for 3 months trying to understand what is happening here. Like even he is a person who is trying to do a lot of these things here. One thing that he realizes, what do they call, is something called vertical integration. Like whatever we had earlier till this time was something called horizontal integration. That is, I need a technology, I got a mic, right? But can I get a host? That is vertical integration. That person can talk, that person knows how to use the technology. So the way they how do they justify these market caps or these valuations also is, they justify with this business, that even how we sell our product. I can give you that. I think that will be a better example. That yeah, that a junior analyst today, you'll be giving them 10 15, let's say, lakhs per annum for their own work. They're just data correlating and reporting to the senior analyst. What I tell is, okay, I'm not that junior analyst today, I'm what the junior analyst uses today. But given enough time, given enough resources, I can be that person also. So a 3-person team can have hundreds of my agents, so to say, working, and then they're competing with big level firms. They're working with Deloitte, they're competing with Deloittes of the world, Bloombergs of the world. Uh, because see, at the end of the day, that is their advantage. That they have a lot of resources, they have everything going for them. So what do I mean by vertical integration? Just for the audience to understand, is like A to Z. That is, even workflows get executed. With coding, what has happened, right? Earlier, we used to go to Stack Overflow, copy a code, some coder will do, put it inside, okay, then test it, what is happening. Now, an agent does all of these things. He'll go to the net, put it there, run it, verify it for you. This is vertically integrated, 3-4 tasks happening all at the same time. This is generally 3-4 people. 4 years ago, a big software company, I would still say one which is not so efficient, will have these 3-4 people. I've worked in firms, there are 18-20 people, and I've worked in firms where 2 people have done more in a month than these 18 people have done in a year. Right? So that differentiation still existed today, but with vertical integration, that's what we call, right? We're a 2.5, 3 person team on our end, right? And we're able to get so much done. So for me, that is the way I see it. Is it a bubble? Like only bubble means, again, like is it true? For me, it is definitely true. Applications will take time, right? As I said, finance application, it is taking us some time. Coding application, some of it is done. Writing application, some of it is done. But like, can it be a teacher? Not sure. Question mark. It is that product market fit they have to take. Once a very compelling teacher comes, who's like, let's call her an agent, who can communicate well, communicate to parents, communicate to students, do their worksheet business, whatever is required of a teacher, then even the school will say, right, okay, I'm hiring a teacher for X. If this is X by 10 and I'm getting all the results, then it becomes a financial decision at the end of the day. So this is how I see it. Is it a bubble? We might be too early, but I believe 5 years, 6 years down the line, the changes we are already seeing, the changes I have already experienced on a day-to-day basis, I think many more people will benefit from it or will come to that eventually. So short answer, no, that I don't think it's a bubble. We might be too early, but we will eventually get there.
So I have my personal view on that. What he has explained it really well, whether it's a bubble or how. I, from the environment point of view, if I see it, the carbon footprints that are generated using AI technology, are we still ready for it? I mean, there was one example which was given, while I was, preparing, I was coming for this. So that, it showed that, to run an AI, one AI, data graphic,
Yeah.
we are using the carbon footprint is as high as one flight from one place to another destination. So are we still ready to compromise on the environmental aspect and sustainability, or will the technology will grow in a way will not leave anything behind for our kids? So that is something we need to look into it.
In the technical language, as they say, he will maybe see the large language models
Correct.
using a lot of energy, and how we need to maybe shift to the smaller models.
So we call this actually the green environment theory, and people have been running this for to crypto mining, that Bitcoin mining, because at the end of the day, these GPU services use electricity. Now, if this electricity is coming from a coal grid power plant, you will say, but if it's coming from a wind or solar energy, it's still okay. So it's either you get alternated sources of energy who can give you this, and then if the data center, these LLMs are being run by this OpenAI, Microsofts of the world will say, we are fully green. Right? It's you, then that becomes first scope, second scope, third scope. We are consuming electricity over here. We actually don't know where it's coming from. Might be from a grid. Now that grid might be getting it from 2-3 other places. So we are third scope users of it. We are direct users. So that's how I see it, and I believe this carbon footprint is a problem. But the world is so capitalistic right now. I believe they might just go on a ship, these people.
Might not even think that. But we have to have a sustainable
Correct, correct.
development, We leave something behind for a future generation and not consume and finish everything.
Is that only the feel good talk that people do in terms of leaving a better world for the future, or it can
I
actually
think
happen?
it's very
It
important.
is important.
Yeah.
I know.
The G20 summits that happen and everything, because it is a fact, right? If our temperature increases by a more degree and a half, we'll have catastrophic effects. Mumbai will be half gone, right? At least from my hometown, that where I think of all of these things is, many technological people are adopting this. I know many startups in the area, right, who are doing this carbon emission analysis. These DMarts of the world, they have these big roofs. They're wanting to put solar panels so that at least they can say 20-30% of our energy is coming from these green initiatives only. Because at the end of the day, it'll be we call this a government and a tech challenge. The government policy becomes like a discipline thing. The day the government comes, like in Europe, it has come. You cannot source your metals, your steels, your railway bridges from companies even in Asia if they're not following the due diligence. I cannot see their environment or sustainability report. ITC, Reliance do a brilliant job of it. Do brilliant job of it. The way they give a report is a standard in India. Many India it's called business responsibility and social responsibility. I'm forgetting.
CSR are part of
Correct.
CSR activities.
So for me, it's just that bit, right? Because it will become important as soon as the government puts the hammer down all of these people will have to take care of it, right? Whatever we are doing, we have to make sure 50% is coming off the grid or from solar panels. So it is a time. When the time will hit, it'll hit like a hammer.
Interesting, interesting. I mean, this is where would lead us to think beyond what is just obvious to us. Coming back to you, Shamsbhai, you can definitely pitch into this aspect of it. The world in COVID, it changed the entire perception of how colleges worked, companies operated, right? Work from home was never a concept, but then people adapted to it because it was the only option possible, and it was a very quick adaptation. Then the concept of MOOC, of course, has a very old existence about massive open online courses, which gave access to people across borders to get access to the right education and so on and so forth. Uh, where is the education system? Are we ready? Do you see a physical school being existing over the next 20-25 years? Think people will go to schools and colleges, or do you think online that is going to take charge of the way learning is going to happen? And start from you, and then of course.
As I said earlier, also for me, the more important thing about is it able to, as I said, prepare you for the external world in terms of communication, how to interact with your peers, right? So for me, if 10-15 years in an asset light model, I can I can think of a way in which schools might not have a physical place per se. Like now there are banks with no branches, Jupiter and the bunch FI, right? So even that would have been unimaginable earlier, right? How are they doing all the correlation? How is the staff running? So I believe if a school is running without it, they'll have to still give some physical space for the students to meet. If it's a park, it's some third party vendor like the K12, right? They'll probably some new vendors will come who will make sure this is happening. So for me, this will remain a very important thing. No AI, no nothing. It's a very human thing. It cannot be quantified logically as it is, right? So I think parents will look for those things. Ki, okay, if my child is going, let's not go far, but यहाँ पे interaction हो रहा है. You're learning all the basic skills. So that is how I see at least the future going forward.
I think we cannot undermine the social skills, that children need to develop at the very early stage. I mean, post-COVID, when we started school, a lot of kids have never been or never interacted with the kids of their age. And I remember during that time, when we had children, we found majority of the children lacked sitting tolerance. They used to just simply get up and start moving because they were not, been in any environment where they were asked to sit for hours and hours and take lectures. So then we realized it that the technology has driven them to that stage where they have lost the human touch. They are not able to interact. Parents were busy with their hybrid model or sitting work from home. So children need that social interaction. That social skill is something that no technology can replace. That is very important. Even when you become a leader or when you handle a company, like he's handling a company, and you are also working. So we understand that this interpersonal skills matters a lot. And it really makes you either very successful in life or you remain where you are. So interpersonal skills does matter a lot, and I think no technology can replace that. It's important.
Yeah, I think I'd like to say that definitely these collaborative spaces are very, very important. Even if you see the design of schools evolving, the infrastructure of schools evolving, you see that they're making these collaborative spaces, which could be, you're stepping out of your regular classroom, what ma'am was trying out in her school, that, maybe students can step out when they don't like something, but they're doing something more meaningful in those collaborative spaces with like-minded, students from other segments, and they come up with things that could be more meaningful. They are learning, they're evolving, and I had the experience of one student. This is a little going off from that, but bringing finance into it again. Is that there's one student who told me that, ma'am, I've kind of managed to ace the stock market, and I've already, maybe with his dad, he's has an account, and he's already amassed enough wealth to go and study at a college abroad. Okay, and he came to me and he said, I want to go and take classes for financial literacy in the middle school. I said, okay, fine. We definitely allow you to do that because we want you to evolve and share your knowledge. But at the same time, I can't have you go and teach the same skill while the kids are so impressionable, young, still learning, grade 6 and grade 7, for them to be going and investing in the markets, or your other friends to be doing the same thing, because you're very conscious you want to complete your education, like, and most parents come with the mindset of having to complete the education, and for them it's definitely adding to their peace if their child has all the qualifications intact. But at the same time, if the child is somebody who amasses that wealth and then says, okay, I have enough and now I'm just stepping out of school, you have that kind of an issue also that evolves. So definitely we should allow these places to remain collaborative, but we have to again have the checks in place. That's something that I always want to bring to the picture.
I think this is one of the most enlightening discussion that I've had in understanding both the generation, three generation, that is. I mean, what I learned in school versus what's happening today and what's going to happen tomorrow. And likewise with the work experience and people who are, the report says that Gen Zs are the most difficult generation to manage and retain them, yeah, because they can flip and you would have had cases on LinkedIn when people like, I don't feel like coming to office today because my dog is unwell, or probably I just want to probably go for a walk or whatever it is, and they're so clear in
Clear,
their communication. And if I had to take leave, my grandmother expired. So that was the reason, right? And today's generation is vocal about what they feel.
expressing.
And well, like you said, it's more our responsibility to understand, communicate, and behave more responsibly rather than the old patterns of force and the other ways of how we grew up. So here we are. I'm sure the audience are engaged. I'm sure you have made notes of of the discussion that we have had. We are almost through some more 5-10 minutes of discussion, and the reason that I'm reaching out to you guys is to ask you to put in your questions in the chat box in the comment section, so that we have the panelists here live just for you to answer your queries, your doubts, ready on live on the channel today. And if you have any questions from the panel on the message, please share it with us, dear team. And yes, so I think I've covered those questions. Do you have any closing statement, or probably some experiences which you feel you would like to share that would have made you understand how the generation is changing? Some examples, some students, parents that you would like to share without probably taking names. Some interesting, some difficult. And I had a question. In fact, Zisha Raga, who is spearheading this, if we had to start a school,
Okay.
yeah, if anybody who's already running a school, the brands that you are associated with have already been there, done that, and already achieved what they have. What are the steps, stages, or what is? I'm not talking about the legal process and stuff. I'm telling you about how should somebody be, in a position to start off a school which is futuristic.
So I feel like the education industry has become very competitive. Uh, we have a lot of chain of schools. We have standalone schools, the convents that we have, Baldwin's and the Bishop Cotton, doing. I mean, it's very difficult to build that kind of brand legacy or brand for any new chain of school that starts up. But definitely the newer generation who's coming in the role of academic leadership, I feel they have a lot of clarity on what the future generation would be facing, the challenges they are going to face. They are going to face in future, and kind of skills that needs to be inculcated and developed at the school is going to differentiate. Maybe provide that. I mean, that would be a differentiator in terms of the success of a particular new setup or a new school coming up. unless people are able to crack that, you will just be one of the schools and you would not be able to make it. So because things are changing, the education is throughout the world has undergone huge change, and we need to cope up with that, and we need to be fast and quick. Anybody who is entering now, I'm telling you, I'm not talking about the schools which are already there, the ones which have got a legacy behind with them. Talking about the new entrants, they will have to crack that. Otherwise, it's going to be really challenging and difficult.
Take charge of their legacy for more time, another 100 years, or the new
I
schools
can't.
will do? Because
I can't.
we have seen
Huh.
dynasties collapse. We have seen the change in
Yes,
terms of how
yes.
modernization and technology has probably put big names in the backyard.
It becomes difficult. I mean, technology, copying a technology is the easiest thing one can do. So, I mean, I start something new, tomorrow there'll be 10 other people copying me.
true.
So, you have to be an innovator, you need to be creative, you need to have that vision of how, things would change in future. Unless you have that acumen in yourself, it will be very difficult to, lead the education industry in future. So, yeah, it's a challenging industry, I feel.
Challenging.
It's,
I'd like to add is in every school or every college, okay, college might be a little different, they do carry a brand value. In every school also, there's always one teacher or something that you would keep referring to, right? Because even when I was in school, I really liked physics from some other school my friend was learning from. So it is, again, if you keep interacting. So for me, I believe if I'm starting a new school, there's a little late feedback loop. Until unless some people graduate, they do well in life, why will any parent send it to my school? And the second thing is, if I have some good teachers early on, that's kids are liking, parents are also kind of getting motivated. Let's say there's a session where as a school I help them in upbringing some of the things, some social things which might be in school's purview, might not be in school's purview, but in a way I'm trying to incorporate the parents also. So I see schools being competitive, they can go the Costco route. Like instead of a retail mart also, there is also play area for kids to be, because parents will come with their kids for shopping, right? Similarly, if kid is coming, parent will also like to come to parents someday, make it more encouraging for them. So in a way, a new type of schooling where if
Right, that's what I think I was trying to say when also we meant collaborative spaces. Now, if a parent is coming, a kindergarten parent is coming to bring their child to the school and has to again take the child back because it's a private student and they have a meeting online, we can always make sure they have a comfortable spot to be seated, to be able to. And we do see that happening, that parents come in to collaborate, and the cafeteria is the most popular spot. In school on days of the PTMs, parents have space, we never stop them, we allow that collaboration. And yes, if we have to continue the journey and keep there at the top, definitely we have to continue evolving, we have to continue learning and provide the experience for the children that makes them learn all these 21st century skills that are so important. Collaboration, communication, all of that is so important that we build it into our system. Homeschooling is happening so much these days, in especially in our city, we see it here. So what is it that is keeping some of those parents take that route? We have to, if you're starting a new school, we need to have research on that. We need to see what is it that a school can give that parents feel homeschooling is giving, right? What is it that the stakeholders really want? Because this is Gen Z, and said all of the new generation, the parents' mindset is different. What is it that they are looking for? Because they are the ones who are working in the corporate right now, right? They are seeing the things evolving, and back working from that, they can figure out what is it that they want their children to experience in education. And most of us schools that are doing well, we are providing that. But then wherever, definitely there's always scope for improvement. And when you're starting something new, you want to do something which is different. So you could keep these perspectives in mind and maybe have some cater to the homeschooling, where it could serve as a space for collaboration at the same time, because I think that bit is missing when they're homeschooled.
Okay. So if you can throw a little light on the concept of homeschooling, where I mean, I personally had a feeling that people don't like the traditional schools, and that's why they homeschool. Yeah, and probably they didn't want their kids to be probably, I don't know, for the sake of their cognitive ability and stuff. They feel that my child has a better scope if I train my
Yeah.
child to be better. So what's your take on it?
See,
Do you have parents, I mean students who have
no,
been
there are
homeschooled,
couple of students. I mean, the children join,
Yeah.
from homeschooling. They want to
Yes.
now
or vice
integrate.
versa, or does it
Vice-
also happen the other way?
No, not really.
Not really?
Not
I
much.
think they're
Your
more
friends, why
coming
would you wanna
towards the
Huh.
school system
Yeah,
than
they-
Yeah,
going
interesting
to.
point. Once
Yeah.
you make friends, why would you want to sit
Why
at
would you
home?
want
Yeah,
to? Yeah.
correct.
So I think I read one article about Elon Musk. He doesn't send his children to a traditional school. He feels that the creativity,
And he doesn't give them any gadgets as well.
Nothing. So
Free play.
free play. So I think
Right.
that is something. Maybe the parents might be having that kind of understanding about the education and how the development should happen.
Ji.
It should not be too forced upon a child to
Yeah.
think in a way. We cannot make a child to think in a certain way. We should give the children freedom to think on their own, and not just decide and be judgmental that this is right, this is wrong. This is something which most of the educators are not doing it. They don't welcome the what should I say, the thoughts that the children have in mind. They will, if you go to a traditional
Maybe
classroom,
diverse opinions.
yeah, I mean,
it's not accepted.
So it's not accepted in the class. The teacher will immediately snub a child. This is out of course, out of topic.
Right.
We'll discuss this later. I mean, we should allow that to happen. We should know how the children at this age are thinking, and they may be brilliant in terms of giving us certain cues on how things, their perspective, and how things can change if we understand them. So I think probably education system which is very rigid, very structured, limits that kind of creativity among the children. So education has to become more flexible, I feel. It has to give more scope of children to identify their own strengths and their weaknesses, and build upon their career based on what they like, their interest and their strengths, rather than a forced decision coming from the parents or some.
Very interesting, ma'am. I'm sure this has given me a great insight and understanding how education has evolved, and I'm sure each one of us watching are also enlightened. The panelists are here to take your questions. Have I covered all the points, by the way? If you
I think you have, yeah.
if you have anything that I have missed, please pitch in, and probably we can have those closing notes before we could take questions. Do we have questions from people on WhatsApp? Can I put on my WhatsApp? Did I mean just
I
help
think
me
we've covered
Pretty much
everything.
covered.
if I have missed
Most
out on any question.
aspects.
Hopefully,
We'll
Okay.
take
all
some
done.
of the questions from the audience and from
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing that I'd like to say is we discussed so many things about AI in education, AI in working. Is AI a bubble? Like for a lack of a better word, but AI is here to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is what
Right,
I'd like
right.
to at least tell the audience, it's good that we embrace it, right? At least we understanding, not understanding, secondary, right? At least we embrace it, talk to our colleagues, talk to our friends, family, and see how they are doing about it. Because I believe there's certain things, small things your family can be doing at home, which can be easily automated at AI also.
Okay.
Right, so if you try to be have little agency, try to see how things can be done, you will start realizing how AI can be utilized. And just as it once was chamakne laga, then everything will else follow. So for the audience, this is
Yes.
you have
Yeah.
to learn how that spark will happen. So yeah, that's it. That's one thing I wanted to say.
Interesting. Closing notes from you, ma'am.
What I feel is AI is definitely going to, develop the education system and is going to add a lot of value in the education system.
Ji.
If I have to speak only about the education, but at the same time, we cannot make, empower them or make them so independent that they take over the experts or the educators.
Got
So
it.
they cannot be placed over the experts and the academic educators. So I think AI has to be there. I mean, in this.
It's a tool.
It's a tool. It's a tool. If we can use it as a mechanism, as a tool to have a better learning experiences in the classroom, but
True.
it cannot replace a teacher or in the classroom setting.
Yeah. I resonate totally with ma'am on that it cannot replace teachers. AI is definitely here to stay. It is here and we need to accept it. We need to befriend it we need to be learners again, to learn the various tools available, so that we are equipped as educators to handhold our children, and it can be a collaborative walk rather than just we handholding them. We are no longer the sage on the stage, we are actually just the guides on the sides. We're just there to take care of them, that they don't go in any wrong direction, they don't misuse it, and they are aware of what is right, what is fake, what is misinformation in the AI age of today, because they're at a very impressionable age. A lot of responsibility on schools to equip them to know what is right from wrong and keep the guardrails on, and where they're missing, make sure we include them, right?
Interesting. Interesting. How about you, sir? Your closing note.
Yeah, so my closing note is actually a tagline, which we tell our
Tagline,
customers.
interesting.
It's called not replacing human intelligence, multiplying it.
Multiplying
yeah.
it. Wow. Wow.
So
Wow.
that's just like this is what I'll say. If you
Yeah.
can think of AI, is like take it as your friend. Any model that
Yeah.
you go with, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, every model is different. Many vendors will come.
Hmm.
It is how well you can interface, learn which AI does what well. Right? ChatGPT might be good for marketing. Perplexity might be good for research.
Hmm.
Gemini could be good for logical reasons.
Hmm.
It's you need to know which goes where. So yeah, just that's my closing notes to the audience.
Brilliant. I think we have had one of the best interactions with the esteemed panelists, and we are here. I've got some questions on my WhatsApp. I'll be taking this. Anybody can pitch in, on all three of you, if you have your views to be shared. The number one question, the most common question, I keep getting that question. Being a professor, it says, "Is the degree still relevant? Will it hold value, or is it just a paper? It's just a gate pass to a company?"
I mean, what I feel is a degree is important to initially to start up, but later on your skill matters for your growth. So skill building, capacity building is something which every individual should work on. So skill is what will matter in the future.
So there's no trade-off. No,
No, a degree would be required initially, because we cannot
Yeah.
say.
is the entry point?
Yeah, entry
It's
point.
important.
It's important. Later,
Colleges will exist.
no, it is required. I feel
will.
it will be, but then at the same time, skills is something which will matter in long run.
For me, degree is like my alma mater or my network connect. Even if I'm, let's say, not from that college or not from that school, if I know from that school, I have ability to interact with people from more over there. And more than anything, opens opportunities later in life.
Correct.
I've come to understand.
That's so true.
How many people we interacted with when we were kids, they went to some different school, different college. Their friends happened to be in some other places. So this has really helped. So for me, whether students will go for a degree or something, but they have to go network, right? So for me, that degree will hold. Okay, how many people are in your network, whom you are in good touch with, whom you are in bad touch with. So for me, yeah, I think so. It will be really important.
Yeah,
Interesting,
I
ma'am.
don't think it's becoming redundant very soon. It is going to take time, and definitely that's why we speak so much about the 21st century skills, because finally it is how you work, what you portray, how you project yourself, and how you interact with people, how you work with the team, all that matters.
Yes.
Right? So the degrees, as ma'am said correctly, it's the entry point. You may not require it actually, but definitely it will take time to be redundant, because it's also the mindset of a large population
Large population. That's very
that you
important.
need to change. You can't change it overnight. They need to see the fact that people are doing very well without getting those qualifications, and it'll take years, I think, for that kind of confidence to be built. So definitely, they are very much here to stay. Schools and colleges don't need to fear. Yes, we need to definitely upskill. With every passing year.
True, and the fact that universities like Harvard, Oxford, Stanford are now coming in India, setting up their campuses, hundreds of acres, and collaborating with different institutions, proves to say that education is going to stay there till the time the human life exists. It will evolve, eventually. And if you look at it, I had questioned this to my dad. That I said that I didn't want to study, Dad. I can't take up this science stuff. Allow me to do some work. He said, you might probably become a mechanic or an auto driver. I'm probably not to demean it, but he would say that probably you might not really know how to value your skills. So probably get a degree and then do whatever you want to. So give me an example like a swimming pool. I would swim well. So Dad said that imagine that the school college is like your swimming pool, and then you have a 3 feet and a 5 feet and a 9 feet stuff. So how much time you take from that 3 feet to 9 feet is your responsibility. But the swimming pool is there, so it all depends on whether you want to take the notes from the teacher and then write the examination and pass, and you live in the 3 feet. But you go to the library, you come to 5 feet, then you use that education and then probably explore more deeper stuff, opportunities. That is your part of it, because that is how probably I could recall this example that my father gave. And yeah, so another question is interesting. I've got so many questions now. This is going to be a nice question, huh? This is for both of you. This is good for kids going to big schools like DPS and stuff, etc. What about the rest of the country?
That's
This is one of the
exactly
questions.
what I said. That's exactly what I said. That we need to have this conversation for the entire, I would say for the entire diaspora, right?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can't just leave anybody out.
True.
So, though we may be, really moving ahead at a very fast pace, we have all the, I would say, the resources that we require. We are in the best of cities. We are in the city which is the Silicon Valley, and we are really taking long strides with technology, with AI. But what is happening in certain other areas of the country, we need to take everybody together. So I think definitely it is going to take time to do it. It's not that we are having this conversation because, it's not only about our schools. We're definitely concerned about other schools, other children, other parts of the country, rural areas. In fact, in rural areas in Bangalore itself, why can't we kind of try and equip our children to do those small CSR initiatives and try and equip other children? So as he said, networking. I think we should use the model of networking so that students we should make some kind of a system where they get, they could get some kind of points for being able to enable another student or another 10 students.
True.
So I think that is something that I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I think AI is impacting everyone. Probably people have not noticed it in what way, but every walk of life or every interaction that they have at at the commercial point, I think AI is there.
Yeah, that
It is there. Probably it's not been integrated too much in the education system for some of the schools or some, but it is already there. Maybe people have not felt the impact of it. That's what I feel.
Interesting, sir.
So just one thing I'd like to add is, even if let's say the institution might not be where, the student going there will be almost at a similar level at a student going there. Maybe not financially or anything, but they'll still have a mobile, they'll still have access to all of those things, right? So I believe that becomes like this is where I said if students can also help. I know it must be very difficult, even the school, place like KV, which is government run, right? So for me, it's like if they look at their own students, the teacher will get to know whether I'm able to impart anything, whether they're understanding what is their likeness of getting this information. So more and more, as these people said earlier, schools start focusing on communication, counseling. I believe the other things might follow.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, this is just for the audience to understand that even government schools nowadays. I'm part of the Delhi government's the largest entrepreneurship network that they had, the Business Blaster program. There is an great evolving scenarios of how even the government schools are now adapting to technology. Helping students to come up with their creativity and becoming an entrepreneur. That's probably one of the most important aspect that even every school at their respective level are doing it. It's all about the society at large. How do we collaborate and how do we communicate and how do we make the best use of resources available? I recall a YouTuber. Her channel is Dehati Madam. Okay, now she is in a rural part of Rajasthan. She had not gone to school and she was married off early, and only because of technology, only because she could access YouTube, she learned English.
Okay.
And now she's teaching English online and she's earning 2.5 to 3 lakhs a month. And that is one of the many examples that we can tell you. So education today has no borders, has no restrictions. Obviously, you might have some schools charging very high fees. Some schools are fine. But what really matters is education.
I mean, even in a lot of government school, we have seen they are using augmented reality in the curriculum. They were, there was a, in newspaper also we read about it. So that's how we that, if the government schools can use augmented reality, why can't we go a step ahead? So it's there. I mean, of course, maybe certain segments may have not integrated in their curriculum, but yeah, it is there. Yeah.
Interesting. I think that question is answered for the audience. Are we preparing students for jobs that won't exist, or for humanity that must endure? I mean, this is
We
just a
are-
question. So,
We,
go ahead.
We are preparing them for
we are
jobs that don't
preparing
exist.
like in orchids, I could say to a large extent, because we have introduced lot of subjects, like as I said, robotics is there, coding is there, financial literacy has been taught to from grade 1 onwards. Then we have horticulture. If
Horticulture you mentioned,
horticulture is
yes.
also there, pottery is there. Somebody wants to go for pottery, or maybe start up something of their choice, or it can be a recreational activity for the children later on. Then we have textile designing, and I mean there are multiple, and then astronomy is introduced. So there are a lot of things. The curriculum needs to improve, I feel. Of course, grade 9, 10 onwards, we have a limitation because we get associated with the board, and then we cannot, I mean, there are certain subjects that we have to teach. But at the primary level and at the middle school level, there is a large scope. There is a huge, scope for us to integrate, the subjects that children may require for future, and it is our responsibility to do that.
Nice,
That's what I feel.
interesting.
I think it's also that we are giving them lots and lots of opportunities to be problem solvers. We are putting
solvers.
them in situations. We are sending them for competitions, events, and having huge fests, right? Which could have a theater element, could have a coding element, could have a gaming element. All of that interests them, and they are given real life problems to solve and come up with. And all things are built around what their experiences are in society, right? So they need to be problem solvers, and that can only happen when we're giving them enough exposure. And I think that definitely for DPS, I can say that we are giving them a lot of exposure. The kids are very, very smart these days. They can think on their feet, and that's what we require. Because no problem comes, which like it's not, they say, I think there's a statement by Sudha Murthy which says that, basically it is during schooling that you have to be taught and then you take an exam, but later on as you step out in life, all problems are thrown at you. Exams don't have a syllabus. Right?
very
So
true.
I don't exactly remember her quote, but this was the basic, I think, gist to it, that we face every single day so many challenges as adults, and as we move forward in life it's going to become even more complex. So they should be the ones who should be able to think, collaborate, problem solve, and be able to critically analyze their solutions and come up with more creative solutions if required.
Great.
In fact, not only the curriculum has to change, I feel the
Yeah.
assessment structure.
True.
What we are assessing is very important, So most of the time we end up assessing only knowledge-based, memory recall questions. We need to have an assessment structure which tests the ability of a child to apply that knowledge in a real-time scenario. So if you see our, question papers in ORCIDs, we have CIA, capstone projects, even from grade 3 onwards.
Grade
And
3 onwards?
Yes, and
Wow.
and we integrate all that. And the child, I mean, if there's a weekly test, there is no syllabus for it. We feel that whatever teaching
Has
and
been
learning
taught.
has happened in last few weeks, a child should be able to, use it. I mean, and get
Maybe
good-
apply the same.
same and get scores. So assessment structure is very. What are we assessing?
Yeah.
It's
I think
important.
this CBSE is also coming up with that. There are lots of changes in the assessment structure itself, where they are bringing in case-based questions, competency-based questions, basically seeing the concept of the child is clear or not, rather than just rote memorization.
Yeah.
So that shift is happening definitely. We can see
I
that.
think this comes from because with the way the modern schooling also happened
Yeah.
was post the industrial age ki we needed a
Yes.
certain workforce to do this,
Correct.
certain workforce to do this, and I believe like the power law thing is happening now. What we are experiencing, like I have experienced so many changes. I feel I'm fairly young, right? But I still feel when I talk to Gen Alpha, like okay,
Yeah,
it's very big difference, right? Which I don't might not feel with my own parents for that matter of fact, right? So for me, the way I see it is that power law is in effect right now for the next 20-30 years. If we teach them only one thing, which ma'am was also mentioning, is how to operate in uncertain conditions and get something out, right? As he said, like the curriculum needs to, instead of memory recall, measure something else, like a puzzle solving or
Right.
group
we
activity.
have that group activity. We have data handling in grade 3. We have case study given to the students in science
it's
and
very important.
maths.
Unseen
Very important.
essay,
Unseen passages. So
Yeah.
there is, I mean, our question papers, 90% children don't have to go through the textbook. We feel if they have understood the concept, they will be able to apply knowledge. So assessment plays an important role in assessing what the child has learned and his ability to apply those concepts in the real life situation.
Interesting. There is, there's another question about which is the right, board to choose. Yeah. So, here, I think, I also get this question. You know, I said, which is better, CBSE learning, ICSE learning, IGSE learning. So many things, options now. You know. So, would you like to quickly tell the difference between the 3, 4, or how does it even change? I mean, what's the difference?
No, in order to clear grade 10th or 12th, we have to associate ourselves with one of the boards, you know. So either it would be CBSE, some of our schools are CBSE, some of them are ICSE. So, it doesn't, we feel that, whatever we have done in Orchids is still grade 8. Most of our curriculum, the innovation that we have had is in the primary level and at this middle school level.
Most schools do that.
Do
They
that.
have the freedom to
operate in
you know,
that.
the curriculum they can map, they can tweak, they can inculcate things that they feel would be effective. But again, the moment the child steps into grade 9, then they have to align to whatever the board
Board,
requirements are.
Okay, so
That
it
is
is-
Score
there.
marks.
It
can be
is, so the parents listening to this,
Yes.
till your middle school, till the grade 7 and
Yes.
8, I think you just have to
please
focus on
allow
creativity.
children to explore.
Explore,
Explore.
yeah.
Really, let them be explorers. That's most important, and they should be people who would be interested in trying out so many things. In fact, we should allow them to try out different kinds of sports, different kinds of hands-on activities, crafts, so that they also understand themselves, they learn more about themselves, and they are able to even understand what is it that they enjoy. Are they somebody who likes to be behind a desk all the time? Are they somebody who likes to work with their hands? Or are they somebody who are good with finances? You can even learn about that really early in the years of the child.
And also one thing I feel is the marks should not be the deciding factor for any choice of career in future. People will change over a period of time. Their interest and their, would, get changed. I mean, right now I may be interested, at that age, in grade 9 or 10 to become a doctor. But over a period of time, I may realize, even after getting a degree, I may realize that I'm good at writing and I could become a writer or
that's
an
like-
author,
That's like Chetan Bhagat you're talking about.
So there are, kids do come and, they tell us, that, we've made a wrong choice in the selection of the subjects. And I think we should give that freedom to the children to change their interest.
They do change all along till grade 11. They may go from a science to a commerce to a humanities. To
Even at
taking
school
math or
level.
dropping math, so many things.
Even at school level and beyond that also, we should give them the option to choose a career of their
Yes.
choice. And the interest may vary. They
I
may...
think our higher education needs to scale up there because we don't have that kind of freedom in higher education.
I think I feel higher education provides more flexibility.
It
School,
does?
But
yeah.
I feel that, for example, if you're doing now, they're coming up with having a liberal arts course or having a humanities course along with science. Those kind of flexibilities were hardly existing. They're waking up to it now. And, in fact, we are offering those things at school, but we don't see it mapping to college admissions. So, in fact, colleges should make that provision, to allow children to pick and choose from a science stream, from a commerce stream, and become a more holistic kind of, person.
It reminds me of a running joke we used to have. From 10th to 11th, the jump is so high.
Yeah.
Right? There needs to be a 10 and a half or something like that to just figure out what is happening here. And as soon as you're in 11th, it's dog eats dog. It's actually true. It becomes so competitive right out of the gate. The friends you are with, now they're also studying 7-8 hours. You're also like, whom do I hang out with? I have to study. Right. So from 11th, 12th, it's just horses, blinders. You have to do that. Otherwise, that competitive exam also requires that kind of a dedication for you to crack to go there. Again, it's not a barometer of anything, as ma'am also already mentioned, but it does play a role.
Definitely.
Cool. So, couple of more questions, if you permit me to. Yeah, I'm worried about the screen time and dependency of my child. How can AI be used responsibly at home?
Yeah, I think parents will have to, keep those restrictions at home. Yeah, that discipline has to be inculcated.
First, they should stop using this.
They're using a phone to track their kids.
They're on WhatsApp and Instagram, and like, Dad, you're online.
So I think
So that's interesting. Please continue. I mean.
Yeah. So I think the discipline has to be built at home. I mean, there's
Ji.
nothing that we can control as educators, So at school level, we are able to do. We do have limited scope for children to use, except for their robotics class, coding class, or when they are going for certain activity. But yeah, at home, it's something where we find it difficult. A lot of parents come and ask us. We tell them that this has to begin at home. This control has to, and discipline has to be set up at home.
So I think there's a
only.
business model to start off a parenting school. because it's so weird when child as small as 3 months and 6 months is given a mobile phone just because the child is crying and the mother and the father is so busy. They feel that जब तक वो mobile में वो cartoon नहीं देगा खाएगा नहीं stuff and that's, I mean, the research says that it is worse than a drug addiction.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and parents don't understand this, and probably this is very, very important. I mean, from the psychological aspect, ma'am,
Right.
why don't you throw
No,
a little light
definitely.
and a message to the parents?
So definitely this is like, I would say, a reminder for parents that parenting means spending time and, quality time and involving yourself in engaging with the child rather than, as just shared that, we give the mobile that we see so often. If you're traveling anywhere, you go to a clinic, the parents will simply give a phone. You go out for a meal with your family and you'll see that all four people are with mobiles, at that table, and there's no conversation happening. So definitely, I think the onus here, because devices we don't allow in our schools as of now. So the onus here is with the parents. It's in fact the parents who need to keep a check and have a conversation going with their children. That's very, very important. I would say that don't have kids lock their doors.
Yeah.
Because and that'll only happen very late in life. So keep that thing out right from the beginning. The kids need to study in common spaces. They need to be monitored at all times. And of course, we also need to have some restraint in our own social media usage, because we see kids have accounts, parents are not even aware of it. And it comes as a surprise, Sometimes one parent is very vigilant, but another parent may not be vigilant. And so the child may procure things which are not right through another friend whose parent is not so vigilant. And the next day, the exchange may happen in school. Right? And where is it all starting? It's starting at home, and where the students really need to be, children need to be really monitored.
Interesting. One final question, an interesting question. What subject should schools stop teaching immediately, because AI is already does it better?
So I think Shams should answer, because he's quite younger to us, and generation. Yeah.
Like it again.
So we
I've
put
put
you
me
on
on
the spot.
God. God. So for me, like as I said, right, education is still very important. But one thing, I don't know what one thing I'm thinking. Probably history. I don't know, because although I
It's
do
so
like
important.
it is very
How do you
important.
connect the dots?
But facts, it is more based on facts.
It's
than
more
it
based on
depends
facts.
Teacher,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I think the
But whose
teachers-
history? I mean,
I mean,
are you talking about what narrative are you
Like
talking
I don't want to say math because I still
You need it.
I need it for like all the purposes, but like just like history I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And history, like it's, I'll just say like the French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, I really enjoyed it, and I enjoy history even today. Like most of YouTube content is 1600 something happened, you're watching it in the night, right? So for me, it's just those bits which I feel if it can be, but again that's just because I've been asked this particular question.
I think the subjects which are based mostly on facts,
Yeah.
needs to be, I mean, I won't say
think
to not be
everything
not
begins
Yeah,
with the
facts.
facts.
Geography
I
also is
think-
Or
like
let's put it this way.
Yeah.
Like in school, nobody was taught about nutrition. We were not taught about mental health.
Mhm.
Now people are talking about depression and mental health. We are talking about physical fitness, yeah, sports, psychology. All these things, children are aware through social media and internet. Okay, these are the subjects. What do you think?
Definitely.
Do
I
these
think it's
subjects-
not about doing away with things, but also bringing in things that are more meaningful as per the current generation. Like, yes, definitely nutrition. Children are very conscious about their body image, their mental health, which is not spoken about. Like, we are a very, very, that way, a school that really supports mental health and really goes out of the way conducting lots and lots of sessions for them, for parents, for students, and we have counselors who are hand holding them through the day.
Ji?
There are days a child may just want to be with the counselor because they need a lot of time. They need to have, they may be going through a lot of problems back home. We don't know. Everything is so different. So I think it's very important to have all these, subjects that can be brought into the curriculum and make it more engaging rather than saying that we want to do away with any subject. I think every subject is
I feel
important.
one subject which we have stopped teaching in our school is general knowledge.
Really?
That, of course, has gone out of the window for a longest
long
of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Good,
that's not
good.
required.
General
Yeah.
General knowledge was the right
KBC.
answer.
Everybody's a crorepati today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that and in fact, I mean, it's how we make the subject interesting. The children, feel that they have they like a certain subject. As he said, it all depends upon the teacher,
Right.
and how it is being taught. So even if the subject like history, which is based more on facts and information, can be made more interesting through a group activity or making students more, doing projects on that rather than just a teacher coming and writing the dates and the names of the conquerors and what they did, what achievements they had.
Basically, we're
So
asking for a change in approach.
approach of
Yeah,
teaching
yeah.
is what is important. Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, I think we have had one of the best Q&A sessions, the longest Q&A sessions in the last 6 episodes, and that means to say that this topic is relevant to the viewers, to the audience, to the parents who are concerned about their wards, about their children, about how education is going to evolve and make us better citizens, better human beings, and successful human beings in the coming time. And with this, I really would like to thank all three of you for your time
Thank you.
on a Sunday. Sunday is a time that people love to spend with their family. That's probably the only day that you get also. But thank you so much. Really means a lot on behalf of Yazhera team. It's a pleasure to have all three of you on this episode of the Billion Star podcast. And we hope that the audience who have been with us, I think it's been close to about 2 hours now, and one of the longest sessions that we have had is meaningful, and it's going to be there on the YouTube, and you can definitely reach out to them. If you permit me to, if that is allowed, you reach out to them if you have any queries and questions, and we can facilitate that conversation further on. Yeah, and now. Of course, we've got a small bouquet as a token of appreciation, and we would request Bakar Bhai to please honor Miss Preeti Suta
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
for
Thank you
coming
so
in
much.
here.
Thank you.
Yeah, also request Bakar Bhai to please, Sakina Zaidi ma'am. And of course, if you can also honor Mr. Shams for his stuff, and you can also do the honors to me as well. Thank you so much. I saw that 4th bouquet, and that's the reason I was so candid about it. Thank you so much. Means a lot. But really, thank you so much once again, Preeti ma'am.
Yeah,
Ma'am
pleasure.
Sakina ma'am and Shams bhai, thank you so
Thank you so
much
much.
for your time, effort. I really enjoyed it, thoroughly enjoyed it, loved it, and looking forward to have more interactions with you. And thank you so much, dear audience, for being there with us, supporting us. And yeah, we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much once again. Have a
Thanks.
great
Thank
Sunday.
you.
Bye.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Bye bye, everyone.